Chapter 746. Eruption Boom. As soon as Ningyu swallowed the white speck of light, he felt as if the speck of light exploded in his mouth. Violent yuan qi spread in all directions. Spirit transformation art. Ningyu wouldn't miss this rare opportunity. He immediately used the spirit transformation art and started to absorb the violent yuan qi in his mouth. Following the guidance of the spirit transformation art, the yuan qi in the speck of light entered Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Ningyu wasn't in a hurry. He had just advanced to the middle stage of yin-yang realm. If he rushed to the late stage of yin-yang realm immediately, it wouldn't be good for his future cultivation. Therefore, Ningyu decided to take it slow. Since there were still 2 days, there was no point in rushing. Bang! Ningyu wasn't in a hurry, but the Dark Emperor was impatient. With so many white specks of light and so much pure yuan qi, the Dark Emperor definitely didn't want to miss it. After devouring all this pure yuan qi, I can easily advance to the late stage of yin-yang realm. The Dark Emperor chuckled. He didn't care about the consequences and directly swallowed the light spots that Ningyu gave him. Fortunately, the Dark Emperor was a purple gold sky swallowing dog. Otherwise, his stomach would definitely explode from swallowing so much yuan qi at once. The Dark Emperor didn't need to refine the yuan qi himself like Ningyu. After swallowing all the yuan qi, he sat on the ground and entered a dormant state. Furball was also a purple gold sky swallowing dog, so his bloodline power was much denser than the Dark Emperor's. The most important thing was that Furball had awakened his bloodline power and awakened 20% of it. The sky-swallowing dog race had a special characteristic. The speed at which they devoured and refined yuan qi would become faster and faster with the awakening of their bloodline power. If they awakened 100% of their bloodline power, they could easily devour and refine all these specks of light. Even so, Furball's speed was many times faster than the Dark Emperor's. Half a day later. Bang! A muffled sound came from Furball's little head. Woof woof. After the muffled sound, Furball revealed a look of surprise. This was because at this moment, Furball had broken through the shackles of the middle stage of yin-yang stage, advancing to the late stage of yin-yang stage. F***ck, I need to speed up. Although the Dark Emperor was in a dormant state, he had split out a wisp of his perception to keep an eye on Furball's movements. When the Dark Emperor saw that Furball had advanced to yin-yang late stage, the Dark Emperor quickly retracted his senses and focused on breaking through. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. Whoosh! All of a sudden, the Dark Emperor's eyes sprang open as an aura comparable to Furball's rose. Yin-yang late stage. After 2 days of devouring and refining, the Dark Emperor successfully advanced to the yin-yang late stage. On the other hand, Ningyu was still in the intermediate yin-yang realm. His aura was stable, showing no signs of breaking through. Why is there no reaction from Ningyu? Has he encountered a bottleneck? Looking at Ningyu's appearance, the Dark Emperor asked doubtfully. Woof, woof. Furball nodded, seemingly agreeing with the Dark Emperor's words. Whoosh. Right at this moment, a red flying sword flew out from Ningyu's body. Red Skin, you came at the right time. You should know about Ningyu's situation. Tell us what's going on. Looking at the red flying sword in midair, the Dark Emperor said hurriedly. Ningyu did not encounter a bottleneck. Everything is normal. The Red Fiend did not transform into his human form and was still within the Red Fiend sword. That's impossible. Furball and I have both advanced to yin-yang late stage. Although Ningyu is much weaker than us, there should be some movement. The Dark Emperor said doubtfully. Furthermore, the 2-day agreement is coming soon. That purple spirit, before the Dark Emperor could finish his sentence, his mouth opened slightly as he stared at Ningyu, who was not far away. Whoosh! Ningyu slammed his hands on the ground and leaped up. Boom! 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 In midair, an extremely terrifying aura burst out from Ningyu's body. Pest! Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from Ningyu, the Dark Emperor's face was filled with fear even though he had advanced to yin-yang late stage. This is yin-yang late stage or yin-yang peak stage? Or should I say, half-step manifestation realm. The reason why the Dark Emperor could not determine Ningyu's true cultivation level was because the aura that Ningyu was emitting was simply too terrifying. It was so terrifying that he did not dare to get close. Judging from the aura alone, Ningyu was at yin-yang late stage. However, judging from the aura, Ningyu was a genuine yin-yang peak stage and could even be compared to a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. Gulp. Not only was the Dark Emperor surprised, but the Red Fiend in the Red Fiend sword also swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Ningyu's state was indeed very bewildering. Unless one was a few levels stronger than Ningyu, they would not be able to discover Ningyu's true cultivation level. Swoosh. The aura that emanated from Ningyu's body only lasted for a second. After that, Ningyu retracted the aura back into his body. Late stage yin-yang peak stage, soul power of pinnacle grade 6. Feeling the violent fluctuation of primordial qi in his sea of consciousness and the strength of the soul power in his body, Ningyu nodded in satisfaction. 2 days wasn't long, but it wasn't short either. After 2 days of dormancy, Ningyu finally made a breakthrough at the last moment. Not only did his soul power advance to pinnacle grade 6, but his cultivation had also advanced to late-stage yin-yang peak stage. He was only a small step away from pinnacle yin-yang peak stage. In just 3 days, Ningyu made consecutive breakthroughs from early-stage yin-yang peak stage to late-stage yin-yang peak stage. Furthermore, his soul power had advanced from early-stage grade 6 to pinnacle grade 6. If outsiders were to know about this advancement speed, they would probably be dumbfounded. One must know that even Mu Tian, the first-rate genius of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, could not achieve this. Buzz. With Ningyu's advancement success, Evil Monarch Violet Spirit naturally appeared from the void. Looking at Evil Monarch Violet Spirit in front of him, Ningyu said indifferently, "This body of yours is not attractive to me. It's better to be yourself. Me. I'll let you show off for a while. Once we leave the pill cave, I'll let you know what cruelty is." Evil Monarch Violet Spirit snorted in his heart, but on the surface, he said, "Not simple indeed. It seems that your current strength is enough to bring me out of the pill cave." As she spoke, Evil Monarch Violet Spirit transformed from a young girl into a burly man. Evil Monarch Violet Spirit, I would like to ask, how many Creation Realm pill puppets are there in the pill cave? Ningyu did not leave the pill cave immediately. Currently, the Creation Realm pill puppets in the pill cave no longer exist, but after a period of time, Creation Realm pill puppets will be born again, Evil Monarch Violet Spirit said. What do you mean? Ningyu asked doubtfully. Since I'm going to leave the pill cave, there's no harm in telling you. Chapter 747. Here it comes. I'm not afraid to tell you that the reason I was able to advance to the peak of the manifestation realm is because I devoured all the light spots that were ejected from the void last time. I didn't even touch the slightest bit of the other pill puppets, Evil King Violet Spirit said proudly. If that's the case, if you devour all the light spots that are ejected next time, won't you be able to advance to the Supremacy Realm? Ningyu said in surprise. The Supremacy Realm? Hehe, you're thinking too simply. Evil King Violet Spirit smiled faintly and said, although the void will eject light spots every once in a while, at the same time, there might be even more powerful pill puppets appearing in the void. Cut the crap and quickly bring me out of the pill cavern. Otherwise, I'll devour your flower bud. After saying these words, Evil King Violet Spirit seemed a little impatient. He split his perception to control the flower bud and said in a deep voice, don't think of playing any tricks. As long as you dare to have any crooked thoughts, I'll immediately destroy the flower bud. How could I dare to play tricks? The flower bud is in your hands. I'll naturally be well behaved for fear of harming the innocent. Ningyu said. That's right. I should make you hold back for fear of harming the innocent. Evil King Violet Spirit pondered for a moment before exploding out. Evil King Violet Spirit's speed was very fast. In almost the blink of an eye, he arrived beside the Dark Emperor and Furball. Woof woof. You're courting death. Seeing Evil King Violet Spirit appear beside them, the Dark Emperor and Furball both shouted. Noisy. In Evil King Violet Spirit's heart, the Dark Emperor and Furball were just small fries who couldn't do much. But it was precisely these small fries who couldn't do much that were Ningyu's friends. Evil King Violet Spirit shouted in a low voice. A monstrous pressure was unleashed from his body and pressed down on the Dark Emperor and Furball. The Dark Emperor and Furball were only at the yin-yang late stage. Being suppressed by the aura of the manifestation realm, they only struggled for 3 seconds before becoming well-behaved. Stay with the flower bud for now. Once I leave the pill cave, I'll let you go immediately. Evil King Violet Spirit placed the Dark Emperor, Furball, and the flower bud together before turning to look at Ningyu. I'm Dan Kai, so it's not very realistic for me to leave through the pill cavern's exit. I can only settle for the next best thing, tearing open the void and leaving. Tearing the void? I don't have that ability. Ningyu wanted to see what Evil King Violet Spirit had up his sleeves. Without batting an eyelid, he said, as long as you can tear the void, I have no objections. Haha, you will definitely leave the task of tearing the void to me. You just need to let me enter your body the moment I leave. Evil King Violet Spirit laughed. You are a human, I can hide a lot of things from you by hiding in your body. The fox's tail has been exposed. No wonder he wanted to do something in the light spot. It turns out that he wanted to enter my body. If I'm not wrong, he definitely wants to take over my body. At this moment, Ningyu thought of a possibility. Generally, as long as a martial artist with a high cultivation base could erase the soul force and spiritual intelligence of a martial artist with a low cultivation base, there was a certain possibility of succeeding in taking over the body. There's no time to lose. You try to tear the void first. I'll rest and try to succeed in one go. Ningyu definitely wouldn't expose Evil King Violet Spirit. He needed to use this period of time to plan properly and prevent himself from failing miserably. All right. Seeing that Ningyu didn't have much of a reaction, Evil King Violet Spirit let out a low roar. Immediately after, violent yuan qi fluctuations appeared on his wrist, constantly bombarding the void. Kai, Kai, Kai. Following Evil King Violet Spirit's bombardment, the originally quiet void suddenly became lively. Although Evil King Violet Spirit was a peak creation realm Dan Kai, it would be extremely difficult for him to destroy the pill cavern and the void outside without an hour or two. While Evil King Violet Spirit bombarded the void, Ningyu split his perception to pay attention to the situation around him while secretly circulating the spiritual art and began to devour and refine the royal grade origin crystal. Shua, Shua, Shua. In the evening, in a certain void in the capital. Suddenly, several figures tore the void and appeared. Sect Master, do we start killing here or go to Danwu College first? Among these martial artists, an early-stage creation realm martial artist asked. Let's go to Danwu College first, the black-robed martial artist called Sect Master said in a deep voice. The black-robed martial artist was the Sect Master of the Corpse Sect. At this time, the black-robed martial artist was very angry, extremely angry. 2 days and 2 nights passed. He didn't even receive any news from Corpse Maniac, let alone good news. The black-robed martial artist and Corpse Maniac had said that regardless of whether they could take down Danwu College or not, they had to send back news at any time. Since Corpse Maniac didn't send back any news, it meant that he was most likely in danger. Alright, let's start with Danwu College first. The early-stage creation realm martial artist said in a clear voice. Bang! As soon as the early-stage creation realm martial artist said the word kill, the black-robed martial artist kicked his butt and said angrily, kill a few times. When we reach Danwu College, you all have to listen to my orders. The black-robed martial artist was very careful. This time, he had brought the top martial artists of the Corpse Sect. If they were ambushed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even a middle-stage creation realm Corpse Maniac could be killed. It was conceivable that the 30 peak experts he brought would not have much of an advantage. Let's go. In the next moment, the black-robed martial artist gave a low grunt and took the lead to dash towards the Danwu Academy. Behind the black-robed martial artist, 30 peak experts followed closely. Wait. When he was less than a kilometer away from Danwu College, the black-robed martial artist abruptly stopped in mid-air. Did I judge wrongly? The black-robed martial artist divided a bit of his perception and carefully probed the surroundings. After a while, the black-robed martial artist withdrew his perception and murmured, Is there something wrong with my perception? In fact, it was no wonder that the black-robed martial artist was so careful. He did feel a terrifying aura just now. However, this aura disappeared in a flash, making it difficult for him to grasp it. In addition to the main entrance of Danwu College, there are 4 other entrances. Leave 2 peak yin-yang realm martial artists with me. The other 28 martial artists will kill their way into Danwu College from the other 4 entrances. The black-robed martial artist pondered for a moment and said coldly, "No matter who you meet, kill without mercy." Crash. After the black-robed martial artist gave the order, the experts of the corpse sect behind him dispersed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Let's go." Seeing that everyone had disappeared, the black-robed martial artist moved toward the main entrance of Danwu College. "Elder Hu, do you know who these martial artists are? Are they the helpers Ningyu found?" What the black-robed martial artist didn't know was that when he was walking toward the main entrance of Danwu College, Mu Tian said in a deep voice in an area in the void. From the aura emitted by these martial artists, it can be determined that they are from the corpse sect. Hu Jian shook his head and said lightly, "I have investigated the distribution of forces in the Great Xia Kingdom. The corpse sect has been coveting Danwu College and the Great Xia Kingdom's royal family for a long time. So, they are not the helpers Ningyu found." Chapter 748. The Prelude to the Storm. Chapter 748. Boom. In the evening, the originally quiet capital of the Da Xia Kingdom was instantly set ablaze with a deafening explosion. Whoosh. Many martial artists left their homes and came to the streets of the capital. If I'm not wrong, the sound should have come from Danwu College, an early primal core martial artist murmured as he stared in the direction of the explosion. "You indeed guessed correctly. The explosion came from the Danwu Academy," a middle-stage primal core martial artist said beside this early-stage primal core martial artist. "Could it be that someone dares to make a move against Danwu College?" On the other side, a peak primal core martial artist thought of a possibility. His eyes widened as he said in a low voice. Whoosh. The peak primal core martial artist's voice had just landed, and it caused a huge uproar in the surroundings. The Danwu Academy was a colossus. In the Great Xia Kingdom, apart from the imperial family going all out, the other factions were unable to shake it even a little bit. At this time, which force had the guts to make a move against Danwu College? No. In the Da Xia Kingdom, other than the royal family, there is another force that can compete with Danwu College. They even have the chance to eliminate Danwu College. Suddenly, the peak primal core martial artist who had just spoken shouted. Hiss. The words of the pinnacle of the primal core stage immediately caused the surrounding onlookers to suck in a cold breath. No one was stupid. They naturally knew which force the peak primal core martial artist was talking about. The corpse sect. In the Da Xia Kingdom, if Danwu College and the royal family were the superforces, then the corpse sect was the super force. Even if Danwu College and Danwu College joined forces, they might not be able to compete with the corpse sect. Smack. Just as the crowd was feeling afraid, in the conference hall of Danwu College, Mu Feng slammed his palm on the seat beneath him. Mu Feng was furious. Recently, Danwu College had been on a bad streak. All kinds of things happened one after another. First, when they went to the Coiling Dragon Ridge, they were chased by the 2 heavenly kings of the Yin Corpse sect. Fortunately, Ningyu appeared to help, otherwise, they would have most likely died. After returning to Danwu College, he met the 2nd heavenly king of the Corpse Yin sect, Corpse Maniac. After dealing with the zombie, Chang Kuan brought 2 peak experts from the Blood God Palace to rebel. After settling a series of matters, he met Mu Tian, the freak. Most importantly, there was a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm behind Mu Tian. Fortunately, these matters were resolved one by one without paying too much of a price. Now, someone had launched an attack on Danwu College. Unlucky year. To the Danwu Academy, it was truly an unlucky year. Forefather Ju Mo, tell us about the current situation. Although he was angry, Mu Feng was not an impulsive fledgling. Ningyu was in closed-door cultivation in the Pill Cave, so he could only shoulder the safety of Danwu College by himself. The burden on his shoulders was very heavy, and the slightest bit of carelessness could cause Danwu College to fall into an irrecoverable situation. Therefore, Mu Feng forced himself to calm down, to the point that it was scary. There are a total of 5 entrances to Danwu College. Apart from the main entrance, the other 4 entrances are all being attacked by mysterious people. Forefather Ju Mo took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, according to reliable sources, the mysterious people are from the Corpse Yin sect. Swish. Hearing Forefather Ju Mo's words, the elders and mentors in the hall all revealed a look of horror. Attacking from 4 entrances at the same time, it seemed that the Corpse Yin sect's forces were very big this time. Everyone, don't relax. I have already activated the arrays at the 4 entrances. It will be difficult for the Corpse Yin sect to attack Danwu College for at least an hour. Seeing that everyone's morale had dropped, Forefather Jumo said in a clear voice, what we need to do is to use this hour to adjust to our best state as soon as possible. I have checked that the Corpse Yin sect has sent a total of about 30 cultivators. As long as everyone works together, we will definitely be able to catch them all. Mu Feng knew that Forefather Jumo's words could only temporarily appease everyone. Once the Corpse Yin sect attacked Danwu College, everyone would be finished. Their top priority now was to contact the other forces in the capital as soon as possible. From the looks of it, the Corpse Yin sect's high-ranking combat power had come out in full force. Just relying on Danwu College was far from enough to deal with the high-ranking combat power of the Corpse Yin sect. Only by allying with the other first-rate forces would they have a chance of survival. Thinking up to here, Mu Feng's eyes slowly swept across the hall and finally fell on Ouyang Lun. Ouyang Lun was the imperial family's ancestor. As long as the imperial family was willing to help, Danwu College would be able to hold on for a while. There is no need to say anything else. This matter is not just a matter of Danwu College, it is a matter of the entire Great Xia country. Without waiting for Mu Feng to speak, Ouyang Lun solemnly said, there is indeed a mysterious team in the imperial family, but that mysterious team only listens to my orders. They will not listen to anyone else. Therefore, I need to leave Danwu College and return to the imperial. Rumble. Before Ouyang Lun's voice fell, another heaven-shaking rumble sounded. Not good. Old ancestor Ju Mo, bring everyone to guard the other 4 entrances. I'll go to the main entrance to have a look. Hearing the rumble, Mu Feng's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly ordered before tearing the void apart and flying toward the main entrance of Danwu College. Damn it! Mu Feng's departure gave Ouyang Lun hope to leave Danwu College. However, just as he was about to tear the void apart, a familiar voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Ouyang Lun cursed inwardly as he changed his direction and flew toward the direction that was designated in his mind. The departure of Mu Feng and Ouyang Lun caused the elders and instructors in the hall to look at each other. They did not know what to do. Seeing everyone in a daze, old ancestor Jumo scolded, "What are you all standing there for? Everyone, split into 4 groups and guard the other 4 entrances no matter what." Hearing old ancestor Jumo's scolding, everyone did not dare to be negligent. They orderly split into 4 groups and flew toward the 4 entrances. As for old ancestor Ju Mo, he chose to go to the main entrance of Danwu College. Old ancestor Ju Mo was a half-step manifestation stage martial artist. His perception was very strong. At the main entrance of Danwu College, he could sense an extremely powerful aura. This aura had even reached the mastery stage of the manifestation stage. Mu Feng's cultivation base was only at the early stage of the manifestation stage. If he were to fight against a mastery stage martial artist, he would definitely die. Old ancestor Ju Mo muttered to himself as he flew, I hope the old ancestors from the other first-rate forces in the capital will realize the severity of the problem. Although Danwu College had another powerhouse at the peak of the intermediate stage of the manifestation stage other than Mu Feng. Even a martial artist at the peak of the intermediate stage of the manifestation stage would not have a good ending if he were to fight against a mastery stage martial artist from the corpse sect. Moreover, the corpse sect was an expert in playing with corpses. Chapter 749. Triple Chop. Chapter 749 Triple Chop. At the main entrance of Danwu College. The current sect master of corpse sect, corpse art, stood in place in a black robe. Although the main entrance of Danwu College was protected by a powerful array, it was not a big deal for Corpse Art, who was in the late stage of the creation realm. Corpse puppets had made ample preparations for attacking the capital and the Danwu Academy this time. A mere array was not a problem for him. Swoosh. After Corpse Art broke the array, he wanted to step into Danwu College, but Mu Feng tore through the void and blocked his way. Corpse Art did not force his way in. Instead, he put down his right foot and said with a smile, "Mu Feng, Danwu College's dean, early stage of the creation realm. Corpse Art, Corpse Sect Master." Mu Feng's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "Late stage of the creation realm." Corpse Art's lips curled up as he said, "You can still be so calm after seeing me. Your courage is indeed commendable." Buzz. As soon as the word commendable fell, Corpse Art rose from the ground and charged at Mu Feng at an astonishing speed. Corpse Art was not the kind of person to waste time. The reason why he did not attack immediately was because he was very careful. He wanted to make sure that Mu Feng did not have any backup plans. After all, this was Danwu College, so it was better to be careful. After confirming that Mu Feng did not have any backup plans, Corpse Art decided not to waste any more time and started killing. Not good. Although Mu Feng's cultivation was lower than Corpse Art's, he was still in the early stage of the creation realm. It was very difficult for Corpse Art to kill him in one move. Crack. Mu Feng gathered essence chi on his wrist and threw a backhand punch, which collided with Corpse Art's fist. After one move, Corpse Art was unharmed and continued to attack. As for Mu Feng, he was not so lucky. A few bones in Mu Feng's palm broke, and beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. "Old Dean, be careful." Just as Corpse Art's second punch was about to hit Mu Feng, a figure suddenly tore through the void and blocked the punch for Mu Feng. Bang! Poochie. Without a doubt, the cultivator who had blocked this punch for Mu Feng was Old Ancestor Ju Mo. However, with Old Ancestor Ju Mo's half-step manifestation realm cultivation, the situation was naturally very bad for him to block this punch for Mu Feng. Patriarch Ju Mo's body slammed heavily onto the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His aura instantly dropped from the half-step manifestation realm to the yin-yang realm, and then to the origin core realm. Furthermore, it was still descending. The Corpse Art's attack was not to be trifled with. The fact that Ancestor Ju Mo hadn't been killed in a single punch was already a blessing in disguise. "You're pretty good as a headmaster. Someone actually took the blow for you." Corpse Execution curled his lips and stared at Mu Feng. "Unfortunately, you might not be so lucky with the next move." Shio. In order to kill Mu Feng as soon as possible, the Corpse Mantra did not hold back in the slightest and used all of his strength, not to mention Mu Feng, who was in the initial stage of the manifestation realm. Even a middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist would not dare to say that he would be able to withstand the full blow of a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Kai. Things were always wonderful. Corpse Mantra's murderous punch was still unable to kill Mu Feng. This was because Corpse Mantra's punch did not hit Mu Feng, but the old man who had appeared from the void. A slap in the face. A naked slap in the face. Corpse Mantra had just said that Mu Feng would not be so lucky. Who would have thought that Mu Feng's luck was still so good? Old fart, you're already so old, yet you still came out to meddle in this matter. I think you're tired of living. With Corpse Mantra's personality, he would definitely retaliate after being slapped in the face. Furthermore, the old man's cultivation was not very high, only at the middle stage of the manifestation realm. Corpse Mantra knew the power of his punch just now. Up until now, there had not been a single middle stage manifestation realm martial artist who could withstand it 100%. The old man in front of him looked fine on the surface, but Corpse Mantra could determine that the old man had definitely suffered heavy injuries. "Since you're seeking death, I'll fulfill your wish." After a low shout, Corpse Mantra's figure gradually became illusory. "Mu Feng, leave with Old Ancestor Ju Mo. I'll temporarily take care of this." "Damn it." Seeing that Corpse Mantra had disappeared, the old man said in a deep voice. However, before the old man could finish his sentence, his pupils slightly shrank and a trace of fear appeared on his face. Without any warning, Corpse Mantra had already appeared beside the old man. This time, Corpse Mantra's eyes emitted a frightening light. The purple flame on his fist danced, and his punch brought along gusts of wind as it landed on the old man's chest. Puff! The huge force that came from his chest caused the old man to spit out a mouthful of blood, and his aura rapidly declined. In just a few seconds, the old man's aura had already fallen from the middle stage of the manifestation realm to the peak of the yin-yang realm, and it was still falling. Crack, crack. Looking at the old man's miserable state, Mu Feng's fists made cracking sounds as his heart sank to the bottom. The old man's cultivation was at the peak of the middle stage of the manifestation realm, and he was the strongest person in Danwu College. Even the old man was not Corpse Mantra's opponent. From this, it could be seen that the others were even more helpless against Corpse Mantra. As long as Senior doesn't leave. At this moment, Mu Feng thought of the senior who was at the peak of the manifestation realm. If he did not use the third chance, he naturally would not be afraid of Corpse Mantra. However, Mu Feng neglected one point. If he did not use the third chance, Hu Jian might even flatten Danwu College. There were two sides to everything. There were pros and cons, and it could not be forced. Mu Feng, this is the second time in a row. Let's see who can save you the third time. Corpse Mantra kicked the old man away and slowly walked toward Mu Feng. Corpse Mantra's speed was very slow. A short distance of 12 meters took him a few minutes to walk. After a few minutes, Corpse Mantra's lips curled up, and he laughed sinisterly. Mu Feng, if someone comes to save you this time, I will twist my head off and let you use it as a chamber pot. Bang! In order to prevent any accidents from happening, Corpse Mantra waved his sleeves, and in an instant, a cold light swept out and attacked Mu Feng. A crisp sound rang out in the area. Mu Feng's ending was very miserable. Even though Mu Feng wasn't killed, he wasn't far from death in his current state. If Corpse Mantra did not want to force Mu Feng to tell him the location of the pill cave and how to open it, Mu Feng would have already been killed. After seriously injuring Mu Feng, Corpse Mantra stood in place, closed his eyes, and released his perception. After a while, Mu Feng retracted his perception, and his face was a little ugly. What a waste. After so long, you can't even break a small array. I spent so much money to train you. Corpse Mantra's face was extremely cold when he felt that the other people of the Corpse sect were still busy breaking the array. You two look after Mu Feng and the others. I will be back soon. Corpse Mantra let out a low roar, then tore through the void and flew toward the entrance of Danwu College that was closest to him. When the two Corpse sect martial artists heard Corpse Mantra's words, they looked at each other and obediently stayed in place. Although they were experts of the Corpse sect, their cultivation was only at the peak of the yin-yang realm. If a manifestation realm martial artist appeared at this time, wouldn't they die? Chapter 750. Impact. Rumor has it that Danwu College once had a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm. What's going on now? The two Corpse sect martial artists didn't know that Corpse Execution didn't leave immediately but hid in the void. Moreover, Corpse Execution also left something unique to the Corpse sect in their bodies. Once that thing was detonated, even a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm would be seriously injured. Wait a little longer. Corpse Execution was very patient. He was determined to wait for a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm to appear. Moreover, Corpse Execution didn't believe that there was only one martial artist at the intermediate stage of the manifestation realm in Danwu College. He hid in the void. Even if he couldn't wait for a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm, it would be worth it to wait for a few hidden martial artists at the intermediate stage of the manifestation realm. Corpse Execution's idea was very simple. Since he had come to Danwu College, he had to catch them all in one fell swoop. He couldn't let any martial artist at the manifestation realm escape. After all, the lethality of a martial artist at the manifestation realm was extremely terrifying. A martial artist at the manifestation realm who wanted to hide would be difficult to find even with the strength of the Corpse sect. While Corpse Execution was hiding in the void, waiting. In the depths of the pill cave. Get ready, I'm going to break open the void. After more than an hour of preparation, Evil King Violet Spirit adjusted his mental state to its peak. The most important thing was that there was violent energy pulsating in Evil King Violet Spirit's hands. The pulsating energy in Evil King Violet Spirit's left hand was pure Yuan Qi, while the pulsating energy in his right hand was pure soul power. Evil King Violet Spirit was a pill puppet. He had swallowed a lot of white and golden light spots. Now that he wanted to break open the void, he naturally needed to use pure Yuan Qi and pure soul power. "Don't worry, I'm well prepared," Ningyu said in a deep voice. "Go." Evil King Violet Spirit took one last look at Ningyu, and an undetectable smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then, Evil King Violet Spirit shouted and suddenly pushed out his hands. "Xiu! Xiu!" As Evil King Violet Spirit pushed out his hands, two terrifying waves suddenly shot out from the left and right. Kai Kai! These two terrifying waves suddenly joined together in the air and blasted toward a point in the void. In an instant, the space in this area suddenly shook. The shaking didn't last for too long. A minute later, the space returned to its previous calm. Kacha. Then, a crisp cracking sound rang out in the area. Kacha. Kacha. Following that, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. The space is about to break. In 5 seconds, I will enter your body and lie dormant. Suddenly, Evil King Violet Spirit's voice sounded in Ningyu's mind. Hearing this voice, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. However, his expression did not change as he said, "Don't worry. When the time comes, I will open my mind and allow you to enter my sea of consciousness." Drip, drip. Time passed second by second. With every passing second, the cracking sounds in the air grew louder. Rumble. When the 5th second arrived, the cracking sound turned into a rumbling sound, and a waist-thick crack appeared in the void. "Relax your mind." In a flash, Evil King Violet Spirit shouted in a low voice. Ningyu's figure flashed. As he rushed toward the crack, he relaxed his mind. Swoosh. The crack in the void only appeared for a second. A second later, the crack returned to its original state. But it was in this second that Ningyu firmly grasped it and entered the crack. As for Evil King Violet Spirit, he entered Ningyu's sea of consciousness and lay dormant. He restrained his aura, not daring to release it in the slightest. Even so, the moment Ningyu entered the crack, Evil King Violet Spirit still felt the terror of death. Fortunately, the terror of death didn't last for too long. That feeling of terror quickly disappeared. Buzz. At the same time, in the sky above Danwu College, the space suddenly split open, and a figure suddenly shot out from the void. Look. Who is that? The person who appeared from the void above Danwu College is most likely someone from Danwu College. I also know that it's someone from Danwu College. Let me ask you now, who is he? How the hell would I know who he is? If you want to know, why don't you ask yourself? On the streets of the capital, everyone was curious about the identity of the martial artist who tore open the void. However, at this critical moment, no one dared to go near Danwu College. They could only discuss it from afar. If they went near Danwu College now, only death awaited them. Ningyu. The people outside the capital did not know who the martial artist who appeared from the void was, but the people from Danwu College did not forget Ningyu. Especially the elders and mentors of Danwu College. When they saw Ningyu, it was as if they had seen their savior, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Ningyu has come out of seclusion. We can be saved this time. Yes, Ningyu is very strong. No wonder he is the first holy son of Danwu College. What first holy son? Ningyu is the acting dean. Do you know the acting dean? A person who had seen Ningyu's strength said in a deep voice, "Everyone, hold on. With the acting dean here, the people from Corpse Yin sect will not be able to cause too much trouble." Anyone who had seen Ningyu in battle admired Ningyu very much. Ningyu could easily defeat Mu Tian and blackmail Hu Jian, who was at the peak of fate state. This was enough to show Ningyu's strength. Moreover, the aura that Ningyu exuded now seemed to be stronger than 2 days ago. 2 days ago, Ningyu's cultivation was at the middle stage of yin-yang state. Now, he had probably reached the late stage of yin-yang state, or even the peak stage of yin-yang state. With such a speed of advancement, It was no wonder that some people admired Ningyu very much. Something doesn't seem right. With so many people seeing Ningyu, Mu Feng naturally also saw it clearly. However, from Ningyu's expression, Mu Feng seemed to see a kind of pain. Although Ningyu deliberately hid the feeling of pain, it was still discovered by Mu Feng's keen perception. A warrior at the late stage of fate state? In the air, Ningyu had his hands behind his back. His eyes slightly narrowed as he stared at the void above the main entrance of Danwu College and murmured, "This is troublesome. Poochie." Before Ningyu's words fell, he spat out a big mouthful of blood and his body fell straight down. Crash. Apart from the people from the Danwu Academy, even the corpse executioners were dumbfounded by the sudden change. Originally, when Ningyu appeared, Corpse Ju thought that he was a tough nut to crack. This was because Corpse Ju felt a trace of the aura of the peak of fate state from Ningyu. However, the sudden change completely subverted Corpse Ju's understanding. He must have swallowed something with the aura of the fate state, causing chi deviation. Corpse Ju frowned and made a decision instantly. He would go to Ningyu's place. Corpse Ju wanted to see what this martial artist was capable of. After all, the moment Ningyu appeared, Corpse Ju could clearly feel that the suppressed anger in Danwu College had lessened a lot. A warrior at the late stage of yin-yang state could cause such an impact. It was enough to show the status of this warrior at the late stage of yin-yang state in Danwu College. Chapter 751. Purple Light Spot. Chapter 751 Purple Light Spot. Since he had made his decision, Corpse Ju directly shot out from the void and flew in the direction of Ningyu at an astonishing speed. Not good, it's Corpse Ju. Seeing Corpse Ju appear from the void, Mu Feng's expression changed greatly and he hurriedly shouted, "Ningyu, little Poochie." Before Mu Feng could finish his warning, the corpse sect martial artist next to him kicked his chest. The huge force caused him to spit out a large mouthful of blood, and his already weak aura became even weaker. Old Dean. Mu Feng's miserable state made old ancestor Ju Mo very angry. Old ancestor Ju Mo struggled to stand up, but he was heavily stepped on by another corpse sect martial artist, making him unable to move. Humph. I advise you to be obedient and wait for the sect master to return. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what will happen. The corpse sect martial artist kicked Mu Feng again and said sinisterly. Hiss. This kick caused Mu Feng to suck in a breath of cold air and faint on the spot. Swoosh. On the other side, Corpse Ju's speed was very fast. Almost in an instant, Corpse Ju arrived at the area where Ningyu had landed. However, in this slightly empty area, Corpse Ju didn't see Ningyu. Not to mention Ningyu, there wasn't even a shadow of a living person. Corpse Ju obviously didn't expect this situation. He stood on the spot and quietly released his perception. This doesn't make sense, he shouldn't have disappeared for no reason. Corpse Ju frowned, but he didn't give up. He continued to increase his perception and carefully probed the surrounding area. Corpse Ju made up his mind to find Ningyu no matter what. Even if he had to pay a great price, he wouldn't hesitate. This was because Ningyu's status in Danwu College was even higher than Mu Feng's. Such a person must know some secrets of Danwu College. Catcher. What Corpse Ju didn't know was that when he released his perception, a devouring and anti-devouring battle was taking place in the void in front of him. The strength of the two devouring parties did not seem to be equal. One was at the peak of the creation realm, while the other was at the late stage of the yin-yang realm. However, the late-stage yin-yang martial artist had the help of two dogs. The martial artist at the peak of the creation realm was Evil King Purple Spirit. Ningyu was the martial artist at the late stage of yin-yang realm. Brat, I advise you to give up the fight over your sea of consciousness. Otherwise, I will detonate your sea of consciousness and make you suffer the consequences. Evil King Violet Spirit changed into a white speck of light for a while, and then into a golden speck of light for a while as he shouted in a low voice. Evil King Violet Spirit, I should be the one to say that to you. Ningyu was not frightened by Evil King Violet Spirit. Back in the Pill Cave, Ningyu already knew that the Evil King Violet Spirit would devour the golden core in his sea of consciousness. At that time, Ningyu had arranged everything properly. In order to completely control evil King Violet Spirit, Ningyu first contacted Ouyang Lun and asked him to be his helper. Then, Ningyu pretended to fall into the trap, causing evil King Violet Spirit to be careless. I gave you a chance, but you don't know how to cherish it. Since it's like this, I'll fulfill your wish. Evil King Violet Spirit's eyes flickered incessantly. As he flicked his sleeves, a stream of purple gas appeared in his hand. Diabolic Violet Spirit, don't waste your energy. I know that you have done something to the speck of light. Unfortunately, the purple-colored chi that you left in the speck of light has all been refined by me. Looking at the purple-colored chi in the palm of the diabolic Violet Spirit, Ningyu said indifferently, "Oh, right, there's still a small bottle of purple gas that I left behind. I haven't completely refined it." In order to convince evil King Violet Spirit, Ningyu took out a small jade bottle from his bosom and said indifferently, "Poochie." Seeing the jade bottle in Ningyu's hand, evil King Violet Spirit's eyes widened, his face filled with incredulity. No matter how evil King Violet Spirit calculated, he did not calculate that Ningyu could refine the purple gas in the light speck. Evil King Violet Spirit's trump card was the purple gas. Without the purple gas, his strength would at least drop several times, and he might even die because of this. Evil King Violet Spirit was a pill puppet. If he wanted to survive on the mainland, he must find someone to possess. Moreover, once he left the pill cavern, his strength would drop rapidly. Right now, evil King Violet Spirit was very anxious. His strength had already dropped from peak manifestation realm to early stage manifestation realm. After a period of time, it would definitely drop to yin-yang realm. At that time, the consequences would be unthinkable. Humph. Even if you didn't completely refine the purple gas, if I want to kill you, it's as easy as taking something out of my pocket. Evil King Violet Spirit could not delay any longer. He snorted coldly and immediately made a move, wanting to forcefully control Ningyu while his cultivation was still at early stage manifestation realm to carry out possession. As for the two black and white dogs behind Ningyu, evil King Violet Spirit completely did not take them to heart. To him, two half-step manifestation realm dogs would not be able to cause any trouble. He could kill them in one move. Dark Emperor, Furball, let him come over. Ningyu would not let the Dark Emperor and Furball make unnecessary sacrifices. Although evil King Violet Spirit's cultivation had dropped to early stage manifestation realm, as the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Evil King Violet Spirit's battle strength at early stage manifestation realm was still not weak. Brat, at least you're sensible. Be obedient. Evil King Violet Spirit shouted loudly when he saw the Dark Emperor and Furball disperse. However, before evil King Violet Spirit's shout had finished, it abruptly stopped. Because evil King Violet Spirit discovered that a martial artist had unknowingly appeared in front of Ningyu. To be precise, it was an early-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Ouyang Lun. Ouyang Lun strictly abided by the agreement with Ningyu. He only appeared when evil King Violet Spirit was only 1 meter away from Ningyu. A distance of 1 meter was neither long nor short. At the very least, with Ouyang Lun's ability, such a close distance was enough for him to heavily injure evil King Violet Spirit. Poochie. Evil King Violet Spirit guessed that Ningyu might have a trump card, but he did not expect that other than those two dogs, Ningyu still had a peak early stage manifestation realm martial artist by his side. Because 90% of evil King Violet Spirit's attention was placed on Ningyu, it caused him to neglect Ouyang Lun, and his body was struck by Ouyang Lun's fist. In the next instant, evil King Violet Spirit spat out a mouthful of purple blood. His eyes widened, and with a look of near despair, he turned into a purple dot of light. What is this dot of light? Staring at the huge purple dot of light in front of him, Ningyu frowned slightly and muttered, "Could it be something that combines soul force and essence chi?" Ningyu knew that within the white dot of light was pure essence chi, and within the golden dot of light was pure soul force, but this was the first time he had seen this purple dot of light. My current cultivation is late-stage yin-yang realm, and the strength of my soul force is at the peak of grade 6. Ningyu fell into deep thought. After advancing to late-stage yin-yang realm, coupled with the red devil sword, he could kill a mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Of course, if he encountered a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist, he could only resist, and it would be very difficult to kill. If he took the risk and devoured the purple dot of light that evil King Violet's spirit had turned into, his strength might increase, and he could easily kill a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. However, his strength might also plummet, and he might not even be a match for an early-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Chapter 752. A preliminary fight. Although Ningyu was weighing the pros and cons, he did not have much time left. Outside the void, the late-stage manifestation realm corpse executioner had already noticed the area they were in and was gradually increasing his perception. Once corpse executioner detected something and he was not prepared, the consequences would be unimaginable. Forget it. Even if I devour the purple light spots with all my might, I can't do it in one go. I need at least an hour to completely devour and refine them. After pondering for a few seconds, Ningyu temporarily gave up on devouring the purple light spots. Crack! At this moment, a huge attack blasted the space beside Ningyu, completely blasting open the already unstable space. The space was blasted open, and Ningyu and the others were naturally exposed to corpse executioner's vision. You're here too. Corpse executioner did not pay attention to Ningyu immediately. Instead, his gaze fell on Ouyang Lun. Corpse executioner raised his eyebrows and said sinisterly, Ouyang Lun, Danwu College's Mu Feng is already under my control. I advise you to surrender as soon as possible to avoid a lot of physical pain. Ouyang Lun did not react to corpse executioner's contempt and provocation. Ouyang Lun was not a fool. Ningyu was the most powerful person here, so it was not his place to interrupt. Ouyang Lun did not speak, but in corpse executioner's eyes, it was a blatant provocation. Swoosh. Corpse executioner also had a bad temper. Without another word, he immediately rushed out. At such a short distance, it was already too late for Ouyang Lun to dodge. He could only brace himself and face corpse executioner's palm. However, before Ouyang Lun could attack, Ningyu slapped his shoulder, signaling him to retreat. Ouyang Lun did not want to show off. Ningyu told him to leave, so he quickly retreated. Life and death palm. Looking at corpse executioner approaching, Ningyu took a deep breath. A violent wave of primordial chi appeared on his palm and collided with corpse executioner's palm. Bang! The two palms collided, and a crisp sound rang out. Soon after, the two figures rapidly retreated. One retreated a dozen steps, while the other retreated 3 steps. The one who took a dozen steps back was naturally Ningyu, who was at the late stage of Yin-Yang realm. The one who took 3 steps back was a corpse art in the later stage of Blessed realm. Although he had gained the upper hand in one move, Shading was not satisfied at all. He was a martial artist in the later stage of the creation realm, while the young man opposite him was only in the later stage of the Yin-Yang realm. There was no comparison between the two of them. On top of that, he had used 60% of his strength in that palm strike. If this news got out that he couldn't kill a late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist with 60% of his strength, how was he going to establish himself in the Great Xia Kingdom? If this matter spread to the headquarters of the Corpse Yin sect, he would be even more ashamed. Therefore, at this moment, corpse execution directly sentenced Ningyu to death. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, don't stay in the pill cavern any longer. This is a moment of life and death for Danwu College. Only by working together to repel these invaders can you continue to enjoy the pill cavern. After one move, Ningyu stood on the spot. Ningyu first used a secret technique to notify the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast in the pill cavern before turning to the Dark Emperor and the others, to be exact, to the Dark Emperor and the other dogs beside him. Dark Emperor, Furball, the two of you have already advanced to the Yin-Yang realm, and your combined strength is comparable to that of an early manifestation realm martial artist. Now, go help guard the other 4 entrances. Swish, swish. The Dark Emperor and Furball were sensible dogs. They didn't bother with Ningyu and directly tore open the void and left. As for Ouyang Lun, he tactfully rushed toward the other entrance. Apart from the main entrance of Danwu College, there were a total of 4 entrances. The Dark Emperor, Furball, and Ouyang Lun. Only one entrance was left unguarded. The silver-winged dragon and twin-horned beast are both half-step blessed realm demonic beasts. It shouldn't be a problem for them to guard one entrance. However, I have to stall them first. Thinking of this, Ningyu immediately took out the red devil sword and slashed down with a shocking sword wave. Solitaire. A huge sword wave separated from the red devil sword and slashed toward corpse execution like a huge dragon. A martial artist at the late stage of yin-yang realm can actually slash out such a powerful sword wave. He is indeed not simple. Looking at the huge sword wave in mid-air, corpse execution's eyes turned cold. He also took out a flying sword and slashed down with a black sword wave. Rumble. In the next moment, the two sword waves collided in mid-air. A deafening explosion spread out in all directions from the point where the sword waves collided. The aftermath of the collision attracted the attention of many martial artists. Even the people from the corpse sect who were attacking the Dan Wu Academy stopped in their tracks and shifted their gazes towards the area where the sword waves collided. On the streets of the capital, some of the martial artists who were watching the show were so shocked that their mouths were wide open and their faces were full of horror. Two late-stage blessed realm martial artists are fighting. A martial artist shouted. Late-stage blessed realm? Are you blind? One of them is at the late-stage blessed realm, and the other is only at the late stage of yin-yang realm. A martial artist next to him said disdainfully. That's right. If I'm not wrong, the late-stage blessed realm martial artist is the corpse sect leader who besieged Danwu College, corpse execution. The late-stage blessed realm martial artist is from Danwu College. It's Ningyu. A Peak Yuan Dan realm martial artist nodded. Swoosh. As soon as the Peak Yuan Dan realm martial artist finished speaking, there was silence all around. Although everyone knew that Ningyu was very strong and had won the first place in the Sacred Institute's assessment, they had never imagined that Ningyu would be so strong. A late-stage blessed realm martial artist fighting against a late-stage blessed realm martial artist? To hell with it. There was a huge gap between the two. Since the founding of the Da Xia Kingdom, there had never been such a heaven-defying genius. Even the most outstanding genius in the history of the Da Xia Kingdom couldn't fight someone who was a whole level higher than him. Swoosh. While everyone was discussing on the street, within Danwu College, Ningyu had turned into an afterimage and disappeared. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast would only come out from the cavern in about a minute. Ningyu knew what he had to do at this stage. He had to delay the corpse sect martial artists at one of the entrances and prevent them from entering Danwu College. Damn it! When corpse execution saw Ningyu vanishing, it was as if his little wife had been stolen. He let out a shout and tore through the void to chase after Ningyu. After advancing to the late stage of yin-yang realm, Ningyu's speed was much faster. Before corpse execution could catch up to Ningyu, Ningyu had turned into an afterimage and arrived at the leftmost entrance of Danwu College. Corpse execution's speed wasn't too slow either. Not long after Ningyu landed, he tore through the void and appeared. Hee, I know what you want to do. You are stalling for time. Corpse execution felt the grand occasion of the other entrances and smiled sinisterly. Death is at hand and you still want to stall for time. I think you want to meet the King of Hell early. Corpse execution was a smart person. A smart person would not hesitate in doing things. Ningyu wanted to stall for time, but corpse execution wouldn't let him. Everyone, don't hold back. Within a minute, you must break the door. Corpse Jew's eyes glowed brightly. Chapter 753. The upper hand not good. As soon as the corpse technique disappeared, Ningyu realized something was wrong. No matter what, corpse executioner was still a martial artist in the later stage of the creation realm. When he attacked with all his might, the power was still very great. Silver-winged dragon, twin horns beast, you only have 30 seconds. Ningyu instructed the silver-winged dragon and the others before slashing out with the red fiend sword. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, two huge sword waves were formed. One of the sword waves was aimed at several corpse sect cultivators outside the entrance. The lowest cultivation level of the corpse yin sect was at the half-step fate realm, and there were even a few early-stage fate realm warriors. In order to prevent them from breaking through the defensive formation at the entrance, Ningyu had no choice but to slash out a sword wave to distract them. The other sword wave slashed at the void in front of Ningyu. Ningyu's cultivation was low, but his perception was not weak at all. Although the corpse execution had disappeared from the area, Ningyu was very clear about its movement trajectory, especially when the flying sword in the hand of corpse martialist was about to tear the void. Ningyu controlled the second sword wave to attack the area where corpse martialist was located. Crack! The crisp sound of the void shattering rang out beside corpse mantra. Corpse Jew didn't expect Ningyu's perception to be so strong, so he quickly appeared from the void. Good, very good. You have completely angered me. The corpse that appeared from the void flew into a rage out of humiliation. Ever since corpse art became the sect master of the Yin corpse sect's branch in the Great Xia country, he had never been in such a sorry state. It would be fine if the martial artist in front of him was at the later stage of the creation realm, but the key was that the martial artist in front of him was only at the later stage of the yin-yang realm. Awkward, it was extremely awkward. I've angered a lot of people. You won't make a difference, Ningyu said calmly on the surface, but in his heart, he thought, 20 seconds left. Shiju taking action was exactly what Ningyu wanted. As long as he could drag it out for another 20 seconds, he would be able to fight against the corpse executioner openly. At that time, both sides would truly rely on their own abilities. Right now, Ningyu had too many concerns. He was afraid that the corpse sect would attack Danwu College. You want to buy time, but I won't let you. Corpse Jew's eyes turned and he shouted, all corpse sect martial artists, listen to my order. All of you enter Danwu College from the main entrance and temporarily abandon the other side entrances. The array formation at the main entrance has long been broken by me. Voila! Corpse Execution's words, which contained vital energy, caused the people of Danwu College to be in an uproar. Originally, the people of Danwu College were counting on the four side entrances to block the experts of the Corpse Yin sect. But now, they had to change direction and enter from the main entrant. The array at the main entrance had already been destroyed by the corpse mantra. Extreme crisis. This moment was truly an extreme crisis for the Danwu Academy. Ka. Hearing Corpse Execution's order, Ningyu's face became completely gloomy. Ningyu knew that there was no point in dragging it out. The best solution now was to kill Corpse Execution and force the experts of the Corpse Yin sect to retreat. Life and death palm. Ningyu knew the seriousness of the problem. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately wrapped the vital energy in his sea of knowledge around his wrist and sent out a backhand palm. Hehe, it's too late to fight me now. Seeing Ningyu's palm filled with violent vital energy, Corpse Execution smiled and said, I'll let you see the true strength of a late-stage creation realm martial artist. Along with Corpse Execution's words, a monstrous vital energy fluctuation appeared on his wrist. From this vital energy fluctuation alone, it was obvious that he had reached the peak of the late stage of creation realm. Although the vital energy fluctuation on Ningyu's palm wasn't weak, it was only at the peak of the late stage of yin-yang realm. The reason why Corpse Execution couldn't kill Ningyu last time was because he didn't use his full strength. This time, Corpse Execution didn't hold back and used 100% of his strength. Kai, the corpse art in the later stage of the blessed realm did not hold back at all. Its power shook the heavens, and even the space around it sizzled. Some of the martial artists who were closer were foaming at the mouth and their breaths were weak. In many people's hearts, the power of a late-stage creation realm martial artist's full strength was indeed terrifying, making them unable to resist. Of course, others didn't have any thoughts of resisting, but Ningyu did. Soul Force. Blue Spiritual Fire. In order to block Corpse Execution's palm, Ningyu summoned his peak 6th grade Soul Force and Blue Spiritual Fire and wrapped them around his wrist. Success or failure depends on this. Time seemed to have stopped in an instant. At this moment, in addition to the students of Danwu College, even the martial artists of the entire Xia Kingdom shifted their gaze to the sky above Danwu College. To be more precise, they shifted their gaze to Ningyu and Corpse Execution's palm. Everyone wanted to see if Ningyu could create a miracle and defeat the corpse sect leader. Everyone held their breath and concentrated, afraid that they would miss a feast. Pa. What broke the silence was a crisp sound. Poochie. Then, the sound of blood spurting out was heard. Hearing this sound, the students of Danwoo College were all dumbfounded. Some sighed, some were helpless, some were disappointed, and some were desperate. Because the development of the matter was just as corpse execution said, Ningyu had no chance of winning. It's over, it's over. Corpse sect wants to control Danwoo College, the capital, and the Da Kingdom. Sigh, I originally thought that Ningyu could create a miracle, but who would have thought that even Ningyu can't do anything to corpse execution? Yeah, corpse execution is a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. In the Da Kingdom, his cultivation is probably the highest, right? Don't think so much, let's think about where we should go. What? Pessimism spread. However, just as the last martial artist wanted to preach his pessimistic opinion, he was stunned on the spot with his mouth wide open and a dumbfounded look on his face. Poochie. In midair, another mouthful of blood spurted out. This time, the martial artist who spurted out blood was not Ningyu, but the corpse sect leader. Corpse execution. Corpse execution was a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. How could he spurt out blood? Could it be that Ningyu could really fight him head-on? Thinking of this, the pessimistic haze that shrouded the heads of the students was instantly dispelled. Everyone looked at the thin figure in midair. This time, there was no pessimism or despair in everyone's eyes, only hope and gratitude. Old fart, a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist is only SOSO. In midair, Ningyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said gloomily, "How was it? The taste of my palm didn't feel good, right? Humph. Cough, cough." Hearing Ningyu's slightly mocking words, corpse execution let out a cold snort and then a burst of dry coughs. Chapter 754. The last battle. Don't think that you are very powerful just because you blocked my palm. You will never know how powerful a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist is. When Corpse Jew said this, the faces of all the students in Danwoo College turned cold. Ningyu was the last line of defense of Danwoo College. If even Ningyu was not a match for Corpse Jew, then Danwoo College would definitely fall into the hands of the corpse sect today. Originally, many students thought that Ningyu and Corpse Jew were about the same, but after hearing Corpse Jew's words, many students felt that Corpse Jew still had a trump card. Hee, I don't know how powerful a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist is. Ningyu did not mind Corpse Mantra's words at all. The corners of his lips curled up as he said with a faint smile, "I won't hide it from you. When I killed the late-stage manifestation realm martial artists, you might still be wearing diapers." Ha ha ha. Ningyu's words eased the anger of the originally depressed Danwoo College a little. The atmosphere of Danwoo College eased, but the anger of the corpse sect martial artists became a lot more tense. Ningyu was ridiculing their sect master in front of them. Even if the aunt could endure it, the uncle couldn't. Swish, swish, swish. Since they couldn't bear it anymore, the 20 to 30 martial artists of the corpse sect swarmed to the main gate of Danwoo College and attacked Danwoo College from the main gate according to Corpse Jew's instructions. Buzz buzz. However, when the 20 to 30 martial artists of the corpse sect arrived at the main gate, two behemoths appeared. Pa. After these two behemoths appeared, they turned the two peak yin-yang stage martial artists of the corpse yin sect who were guarding Mu Feng into minced meat with one palm each. Ningyu, you deal with that old man. Leave this to us. The behemoths were the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast. Not long after the silver-winged dragon appeared, the Dark Emperor, Hairy Ball, and the others all arrived at the main gate of Danwoo College. At this moment, outside the main gate of Danwoo College, the 28 peak experts of the corpse sect gathered together. Among these martial artists, the lowest cultivation was at the half-step manifestation realm, while the highest was at the early stage manifestation realm. This kind of combat power was really terrifying. At the main gate of Danwoo Academy, with the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast in the lead, Ouyang Lun, the Dark Emperor, Furball, and several dozen other Danwoo Academy instructors were supporting them, ready for battle at any time. Corpse Art stared at Silver-Winged Dragon and the others and sneered, You want to stop the people of the corpse yin sect with just these little shrimps? Me too. Whoosh. Suddenly, the void in the distance was torn apart. Then, a woman wearing a bamboo hat appeared in front of everyone. Black Widow. This woman was none other than the Black Widow who had chased after old monster Black Nefarious. For some reason, Black Widow's cultivation had already broken through the limits and advanced to the early stage of the manifestation realm. There's still us. Not long after the Black Widow appeared, another two figures tore through the void on the other side. These two martial artists were also at the early stage of the manifestation realm. It's the Black and White Heroes. I didn't expect the Black and White Heroes to also advance to the early stage of the manifestation realm. It is said that 20 years ago, they were only at the peak of the yin-yang realm. Look, someone else has appeared. Crack. As the martial artist spoke, the space next to the Black and White Heroes was torn apart again. This time, the number of martial artists that appeared was quite large. The Patriarch of Drunken Cloud Villa, the Patriarch of the Assassination Pavilion, and the patriarchs of other forces had all arrived. Originally, it would be difficult for them to defend Danwu Academy with the silver-winged dragon, but now that so many people suddenly appeared, the pressure on them was instantly reduced. It could be said that with the addition of Black Widow and the others, at least on the surface, they would not be at a disadvantage. Even with the combat power of the silver-winged dragon and the Dark Emperor, they might be able to gain the upper hand. I wonder if the little shrimps you mentioned can stop the little shrimps of the corpse yin sect. The appearance of so many martial artists made Ning Yu completely relieved. Now that Ning Yu no longer had any worries, he could have a real fight with Corpse Ju. Corpse Ju's face was gloomy and he shouted coldly, I said, you are not my opponent. No matter what, you are not my opponent. Noisy. Without any worries, Ning Yu naturally would not argue with Corpse Ju here. If he wanted to fight, then fight. If he didn't want to fight, then so be it. Life and Death Palm. Ning Yu's first attack was the 7th style of the Netherworld Samsara Palm, Life and Death Palm. As for the Life and Death Palm, it was obvious that Ning Yu's soul force and cultivation increased. In the past, when Ning Yu was at the early stage of the yin-yang realm and his soul force was at the early stage of the 6th grade, he could rely on the Life and Death Palm to deal with a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. Now that Ning Yu's cultivation had advanced to the late stage of the yin-yang realm, his soul force had reached the peak of the 6th grade. The power of the Life and Death Palm displayed in this state was close to that of a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Child's play. Corpse Ju was not frightened by Ning Yu's palm print. Although the power of the Life and Death Palm was comparable to the attack of a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist, it must be known that Corpse Ju himself was a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Corpse Ju flicked his wrist and instantly pushed out a palm print. After pushing out the palm print, Corpse Ju laughed sinisterly, competing with me with palm prints, you still. What? However, just as Corpse Ju's sinister laughter sounded, his expression changed greatly. Because Corpse Ju saw that after Ning Yu made a palm print, he immediately made a few more palm print. Moreover, the power of each palm print was surprisingly consistent. This time, Corpse Ju was completely dumbfounded. It didn't make sense at all. It was already very good for a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist to make a palm print that was comparable to the palm print of a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist, but to make dozens of palm prints in a row, it was a bit unreasonable, right? Corpse Palm. Corpse Ju was indeed worthy of being the sect leader of the Corpse sect. After a brief daze, he quickly waved his hands and made dozens of palm prints in an instant. In mid-air, nearly 100 palm prints collided together. The scene was extremely chaotic. Catcha catcha catcha, kai kai kai, incessant cracking sounds and incessant sizzling sounds could be heard. Like bamboo shoots after the rain, all of them emerged. Such a grand and imposing attack not only caused everyone in the Danwu Academy to be dumbfounded, but even the martial artists on the capital streets had dumbfounded looks on their faces. Gulp. On the streets of the capital, all the martial artists swallowed a mouthful of saliva and stared at Ning Yu and Corpse Ju, who were in the middle of the palm prints. Compared to the previous exchange, this was the real exchange. In fact, It was no wonder that everyone was staring at the two people in midair. Everyone knew that the outcome of this battle would be decided. Whether Ningyu would defeat Corpse Ju or Corpse Ju would defeat Ningyu, everything was still unknown. However, everyone was praying for Ningyu to win, because everyone was very clear that once Corpse Ju won, it would be a huge disaster for the capital and the entire Da Xia Empire. Chapter 755. Another glimmer of hope. Rumble. The impact from the collision of the hundreds of palm prints even caused cracks to appear in the void. These spatial cracks converged together like fireworks, blooming in the air to their heart's content. Swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, two figures rushed out from several spatial cracks, one in front and one behind, and flew straight out of Danwu College. Ha ha ha, boy, do you think you can defeat me with just a few dozen palm prints? You're too naive. Corpse Execution laughed as he chased after Ningyu. In the Corpse Sect, the Corpse Palm was divided into several levels. As the sect leader of the Corpse Sect, the Corpse Execution mastered the Corpse Palm, which was naturally the highest level of attack. Although the Life and Death Palm displayed by Ningyu was very powerful, the Corpse Execution's Corpse Palm was also very powerful. The reason why Ningyu was able to gain the upper hand from the beginning was that he was the first to make a move, which gave him the advantage of time. But as time passed, the advantage of the Life and Death Palm was gradually eroded, and in the end, it could only block the Corpse Palm. When it rains, it pours. Under normal circumstances, the Life and Death Palm could block the Corpse Palm for about 10 minutes. But at the critical moment, Corpse Execution took out a golden pill and threw it into his mouth. In an instant, he sent out several Corpse Palms. The result was obvious. The stalemate was broken, and Ningyu could only flee in panic. It's over, it's over. Ningyu is being chased by Corpse Execution. Does the heavens want our Danwu College to die? Seeing Ningyu being chased by Corpse Execution, the students of Danwu College began to despair. Voila! The pessimism seemed to have completely exploded at this moment. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look, Ningyu stopped again." Swoosh. Hearing this, everyone's gaze shifted to Ningyu. In the air, Ningyu abruptly stopped his body, and his expression was extremely solemn. "Huh? Why aren't you running anymore?" Seeing that Ningyu had stopped in place, Corpsewolf frowned and was a little puzzled. According to Corpse Execution's understanding, if Ningyu wanted to run, it would be very difficult for him to catch up in a short time. At the very least, it would take a few hours to catch up to Ningyu. After all, there was too much essence in Ningyu's sea of consciousness. It seemed like it could be maintained endlessly. Corpse Executioners were naturally suspicious. When Ningyu stopped, he felt that there must be a trap. "I want to King run, but I can't." Ningyu was extremely displeased. Ningyu was not a fool or an idiot. Naturally, he knew that as long as there's life, there's hope. Most importantly, Ningyu could not leave Danwu College. This was because Ningyu had sensed Hu Jian's aura outside Danwu College. 2 days ago, Ningyu and Hu Jian had an agreement. From that day onwards, Hu Jian could not take half a step into Danwu College. The price he had to pay was that Ningyu had to leave Danwu College within 7 days. Otherwise, Hu Jian could unilaterally break the agreement. Hu Jian's cultivation was at the peak of the manifestation realm. If Ningyu left Danwu College at this time, it was tantamount to courting death. Compared to Hu Jian, who was at the peak of the manifestation realm, Ningyu wanted to face a martial artist in the late stage of the manifestation realm more. Come out, come out. In a certain void outside the Danwu Academy, Mu Tian's eyes stared fixedly at Ningyu and could not help but shout. In Mu Tian's heart, he had already sentenced Ningyu to death. Mu Tian wanted Ningyu dead all the time. He wanted to crush Ningyu's bones and scatter his ashes. 7 days was too much for Mu Tian. Therefore, Mu Tian looked forward to Ningyu leaving Danwu College earlier. This way, Hu Jian could capture Ningyu openly. Mu Tian, don't worry. Even if Ningyu doesn't leave Danwu College, he can't escape even if he has wings, Hu Jian said calmly. Don't worry. How can I not worry? Mu Tian said coldly, I want to kill Ningyu with my own hands. Ningyu is mine. No one else can kill him. Mu Tian was very violent. He did not want others to kill Ningyu. What he wanted was to kill Ningyu with his own hands. He wanted to kill Ningyu with his own hands. Hearing Mu Tian's words, Hu Jian was a little displeased. However, he did not show it. Instead, he said in a low voice, "Don't worry. When Corpse Executioner wants to kill Ningyu, I will stop him. At that time, Corpse Executioner will let you have Ningyu. That's more like it." Mu Tian's anger subsided a little. However, he still stared at Ningyu without blinking, like a hungry wolf staring at a lamb. "So, your name is Ningyu." Corpse Executioner heard the shouts of the crowd in Danwu College and said in a sinister tone, "To be able to die by my hands, it can be considered the fortune you cultivated in your previous life." Swoosh. Corpse Executioner was afraid that something would happen if he delayed. His eyes turned cold and he rushed out immediately. At such a close distance, for a peak powerhouse like Corpse Puppeteer, it would only take 0.1 seconds. 0.1 second later, Corpse Executioner had already arrived in front of Ningyu. Facing Corpse Executioner's attack, Ningyu did not choose to dodge. Instead, he floated in the air blankly. "Are you stupid?" Seeing Ningyu's blank look, Corpse Executioner was stunned. After a short pause, Corpse Executioner gritted his teeth and punched hard at Ningyu's chest. Bang! The huge force from his chest made Ningyu's throat taste sweet and he spat out a big mouthful of blood. Although he spat out blood, Ningyu still floated in the same place and did not retreat even half a step. Even Ningyu stretched out his palm to wipe the blood at the corner of his mouth and revealed a strange smile. "I've lost my mind. Not good." Seeing Ningyu laugh, Corpse Executioner was stunned again. Just when he wanted to say something, his expression changed greatly and he hurriedly retreated. Kai. However, how could Ningyu waste such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Moreover, this time, Corpse Executioner was stunned for a little longer than the last time. This little bit of time was the last time Corpse Executioner could have in this world. Ningyu waved his sleeves quickly, and in an instant, a red flying sword swept out and rushed towards Corpse Executioner at a terrifying speed. Ningyu had been waiting for this moment. Red Demon Sword. As he retreated, Ningyu handed over control of the Red Demon Sword to Red Devil. At the same time, he gave Red Devil all the holy chi in his sea of consciousness and the flower bud that he had absorbed from the void. "Hit the snake where it hurts, and use all your strength to kill." Ningyu understood this principle. With so much vitality and holy chi replenished, Red Devil controlled the Red Demon Sword like a fish in water. The Red Demon Sword had long been restored to the Emperor level. The Emperor level Red Demon Sword was extremely powerful. Poof! It would have been fine if Corpse Executioner was stunned, but his days really gave Red Devil an opportunity. In a flash, Red Devil and the Red Demon Sword fused together and pierced straight into Corpse Executioner's heart. Swoosh! When the Red Demon Sword pierced into Corpse Executioner's heart, time seemed to stop. The area became abnormally quiet. Inside Danwu College, on the streets of the capital, all the martial artists had their mouths wide open, and there was only one expression on their faces. Surprise. Extreme surprise. Extreme surprise. Originally, everyone thought that Ningyu was dead for sure. Who would have thought? Chapter 756. Someone from the Blood God Palace. Impossible. Apart from the martial artists of the Great Xia Kingdom who were surprised, Mu Tian, who was in the void, kept repeating the word impossible with his mouth wide open. Indeed, the fact that Ningyu killed the Corpse Executioner of the late stage of the Fate Realm really shocked Mu Tian. Even in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, Mu Tian was ranked among the top 10 geniuses. A genius who was ranked among the top 10 in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple was not as good as a genius from the Great Xia Kingdom. A blow. Mu Tian suffered a big blow. Mu Tian even started to doubt his own talent. Mu Tian even started to doubt his life. It's that flying sword. Hu Jian was very smart. When he was in Danwu College, he already knew that there was something strange about the red flying sword in Ningyu's hand. Now it seemed that his guess was right. The red flying sword in Ningyu's hand was at least at the peak of the king rank. It was very likely to be a royal rank flying sword. Hu Jian was lucky enough to see the power of a royal rank flying sword in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. At that time, a genius in the early stage of the Fate Realm easily won against 3 people with a royal rank flying sword. The 3 defeated martial artists were all in the late stage of the Fate Realm. There are 5 days left. I must get that flying sword. Hu Jian secretly made up his mind to get the red flying sword in Ningyu's hand. In Hu Jian's mind, the red demon sword was already his exclusive property. No one else should even think about touching it. Rumble. The most shocked one wasn't the Great Xia Kingdom's martial artists, Hu Jian, or Mu Tian. The most shocked were the 28 peak experts of the Corpse Yin sect. They besieged Danwu College with the corpse executioner, but in the end, they didn't even enter the main gate of the Danwu College, and the corpse executioner was already killed. They went for wool and came home shorn. They lost the sect master and the soldiers. What should we do? Among the 28 martial artists of the Corpse Yin sect, a half-step to the Fate Realm martial artist asked the old man in the early stage of the Fate Realm next to him. Go. Where there's life, there's hope. The martial artists at the peak of the initial stage of the Fate Realm were not fools. Ningyu could even kill a corpse art at the later stage of the Fate Realm. They did not know what other powerful trump cards he had. It was unwise to clash with Ningyu at this time. Since the Corpse Yin sect had a massive influence, why not return to the headquarters to rest and reorganize? When the time came, they would gather all the members of the Corpse Yin sect in the Great Xia Kingdom to attack the capital and flatten Danwu College. Voila! The moment the old man finished speaking, the 28 experts of the corpse sect scattered like birds and beasts in all directions. Rumble. Rumble. Once a person had the thought of escaping, they would lose focus and their combat strength would drop a lot. The 28 cultivators of the Corpse Yin sect were typical examples. In just a few minutes, 18 of the 28 corpse sect cultivators that had escaped had been killed in the chaotic battle. This was the so-called beating a drowning dog. These words were the best way to describe the corpse sect cultivators. Hong Mo, put the corpse art into the storage ring first. Zun Jianwen has a way to make him tell the secrets of the Corpse Yin sect. With the end of the battle, Ningyu naturally would not intervene in the encirclement and annihilation of the Corpse Yin sect. After all, even if Ningyu wanted to intervene, he did not have the strength. With Ningyu's current state, he might not even be a match for a Yin-Yang realm martial artist, let alone a half-step Fate Realm or an early-stage Fate Realm martial artist. The Corpse Yin sect was the largest force in the Great Xia Kingdom, so they must have collected a lot of magic treasures and elixirs. The formation that Zun Jianwen set up could also force out information from the dead. How could Ningyu miss such a good opportunity? I originally wanted to let the red demon sword devour the corpse art. Since you have a use for it, I will give it to you first. The red devil appeared from within the red devil sword and chuckled. Then, he slapped the corpse mantra towards Ningyu. However, just as Ningyu was about to put the corpse art into the storage ring, a faint laughter slowly sounded in the area. I didn't expect to see a flying sword spirit body in the Great Xia Kingdom. It's really not simple. As the faint laughter faded, space trembled slightly. In an instant, 2 cultivators appeared from the cracks in space. Hiss. As soon as these 2 martial artists appeared, Ningyu and Hong Mo both sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because the cultivation of these 2 martial artists were both at the late stage of the Fate Realm. Moreover, judging from the strength of their Yuan Qi, the aura of these 2 martial artists was even stronger than that of the corpse art. This was a bit embarrassing. As the saying goes, if you beat the young, the old will come, and if you beat the old, the shameless will come. Could it be that these 2 late-stage Fate Realm martial artists were the shameless type? You may have misunderstood. Among the 2 martial artists, the slightly fatter one saw Ningyu's expression, waved his hand, and said, "We have nothing to do with the corpse sect. In other words, we also have a grudge against the corpse sect." The other short martial artist shrugged and said, "That's right, the corpse sect is a sect that does all kinds of bad things and is destined to be uprooted." "You're not from the corpse sect?" Ningyu didn't relax his vigilance because of the words of the two martial artists. He was highly focused and asked in a deep voice. Of course. The slightly fatter martial artist said in a clear voice. We are from the Blood God Palace. Swish. Hearing the words of the slightly fatter martial artist, Ningyu's face instantly became gloomy and his heart sank to the bottom. Damn it. The people of the corpse sect did all kinds of bad things, but the Blood God Palace was no better. If the corpse sect was a vampire, then the Blood God Palace was a worm. The two were jackals of the same tribe and were equally matched. Boy, we have been observing you for a long time. You were able to kill the corpse execution because of that royal grade flying sword. The slightly fatter martial artist said indifferently, we have no enmity with you. As long as you hand over the royal grade flying sword, we can let you become the ruler of the Great Xia Kingdom. Let me become the ruler of the Great Xia Kingdom? Ningyu frowned. The slightly fatter martial artist said, of course, after today, the Great Xia Kingdom will be under the management of the Blood God Palace, just like the Lanqing Kingdom. It seems that the Blood God Palace is the same as the corpse sect, an ambitious sect. Ningyu said in a cold voice, I am not afraid to tell you that since I can kill the corpse execution of the corpse sect, I can also kill you. Do you think we are scared? The slightly fatter martial artist's face was gloomy and he shouted in a deep voice, the corpse execution was killed by you because he was arrogant. We are different from him. There are two of us, 2 against 1. No matter how you look at it, we will win. Hehe, if you don't believe me, you can give it a try. At this time, Ningyu calmed down. Because Ningyu knew that it was useless for him to be anxious and would only attract the attention of the Blood God Palace martial artists. Instead of this, it was better to calm down and wait for an opportunity. Hong Mo, I will leave the corpse execution to you. Devour him here. In order to confuse the two martial artists from the Blood God Palace, Ningyu kicked the corpse execution to Hong Mo and said indifferently, okay. Chapter 757. Glory. Whoosh. As soon as the flying sword pierced into corpse execution's body, it was as if corpse execution had eaten corpse powder and his body gradually shriveled. Not long after, corpse execution turned from a corpse to a skeleton. Swish. Seeing how calm Ningyu was, the two martial artists from the Blood God Palace muttered in their hearts. Coupled with corpse execution's miserable state, the two martial artists from the Blood God Palace stopped moving forward and didn't immediately snatch the red demon sword. Miserable, it was really too miserable. No matter what, corpse execution was still a peak late-stage manifestation realm martial artist, but he ended up in such a miserable state after his death. Because they were afraid of Ningyu, the martial artists from the Blood God Palace didn't take the initiative to attack. For a moment, the situation became very strange. If the martial artists from the Blood God Palace didn't take the initiative to attack, Ningyu wouldn't be stupid enough to fight with them. With such a good opportunity, Ningyu would definitely work hard to recover and strive to recover to his peak state in a short time. Once he recovered to his peak state, Ningyu would no longer be afraid of the martial artists from the Blood God Palace. Although it was basically impossible to win 1 against 2, it was very easy for Ningyu to escape if he wanted to. While Ningyu and the others were still confronting each other, at the main gate of Danwu College, 2 of the remaining 10 martial artists from the corpse sect were killed. Now, among the 28 martial artists from the corpse sect, only 8 early-stage manifestation realm martial artists were still alive. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, dark emperor, hairy ball, Ouyang Lun, black and white heroes, and black widow. Each of these 8 people was fighting against an early-stage manifestation realm expert from the corpse sect. Although Silver-winged dragon and the others were very powerful, the 8 martial artists from the corpse sect were all battle-hardened and had heaven-defying strength. Moreover, the 8 martial artists from the corpse sect had already woken up. They knew that there was no way to escape. Only by fighting all the way could they change their fate. Ha ha ha, I haven't been so happy in a long time. I didn't expect that my first battle after advancing to the late-stage yin-yang realm would be so satisfying. The Dark Emperor pushed back the early-stage manifestation realm martial artist with one move and laughed. After advancing to the late-stage yin-yang realm, the Dark Emperor's strength increased by a lot. In addition, the Dark Emperor had unlocked some talent skills, so he could still have the upper hand when fighting against an early-stage creation realm martial artist. Bang! On the other side, Furball's situation was much better than the Dark Emperor's. In terms of size, Furball might not be as large as the Dark Emperor. But in terms of strength, Furball was much stronger than the Dark Sovereign. However, the early-stage manifestation realm martial artist that Furball was up against was also stronger than the early-stage manifestation realm martial artist that the Dark Emperor was up against, so Furball only had a slight upper hand and did not have an overwhelming advantage. Although the silver-winged dragon and the twin horns beast were only half a step into the manifestation realm, they were not weak at all. In addition, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast still had some holy chi, so they had an overwhelming advantage. They believed that in a few more minutes, the corpse sect cultivators fighting against them would be killed. Ouyang Lun and Black Widow fought to a draw with the cultivators of the corpse yin sect. They were evenly matched. The black and white heroes were more powerful. Like the silver Quetzalcoatlus, they had an overwhelming advantage. This time, all the cultivators of the corpse yin sect were killed in one fell swoop. Seeing that there were only 8 cultivators of the corpse yin sect left, the students of Danwu College all revealed expressions of relief. Awesome. Everything came too quickly, and it left too quickly as well. No matter what, the high-level combat power of the corpse yin sect would be mostly gone after today's battle. From now on, it would be impossible for the corpse yin sect to stir up too much trouble for a long time. Who are the 2 cultivators beside Ningyu? Are they the helpers that Ningyu invited? Suddenly, a cultivator noticed Ningyu's situation. In the void on Ningyu's left and right were 2 martial artists. Judging from their aura, these 2 cultivators were both at the late stage of the manifestation realm. Those 2 cultivators are not the helpers that Ningyu invited. Mu Feng suddenly opened his eyes and said in a deep voice. After a period of recuperation, although Mu Feng hadn't recovered to his peak, he had recovered about 10% to 20%. Although Mu Feng couldn't be compared to his peak, his perception was still there. Mu Feng saw greed, viciousness, and doubt in the eyes of the cultivators on both sides of Ningyu. All these signs showed that the 2 cultivators beside Ningyu were not invited by Ningyu, but came uninvited. What? Old Dean, you said that those 2 cultivators might be enemies? If they are really enemies, we are finished. That's right. If I'm not wrong, Ningyu has already used all his strength to kill the corpse mantra in the later stage of the Fate Realm. If he encounters 2 more martial artists in the later stage of the Fate Realm, he will definitely not be able to handle it. Swish. Swish. Just as everyone was discussing, the 2 cultivators from the Blood God Palace decided not to waste time with Ningyu, but to test Ningyu. Damn it. Sensing that the 2 cultivators from the Blood God Palace were attacking, Ningyu cursed. He held the red demon sword and slashed out 2 sword waves. The 2 sword waves were extremely fast and attacked the 2 cultivators from the Blood God Palace. Fortunately, the red demon sword had swallowed the corpse, so the sword retained a lot of energy. Otherwise, the attack from the cultivators from the Blood God Palace would be enough to seriously injure Ningyu. Even so, the 2 sword waves couldn't stop the attacks from the cultivators from the Blood God Palace. The warriors of the Blood God Palace broke through the sword wave in an instant, and each of them punched Ningyu's chest. Poof! The huge force that came from his chest caused Ningyu to spit out a mouthful of dark red blood, and his body fell straight to the ground. Whoosh! As Ningyu fell to the ground, it caused an uproar in Danwu College. Ningyu was the most powerful cultivator in Danwu College. Even he couldn't resist it. It seemed that the heavens really wanted to destroy Danwu College. Ha ha ha, I thought you were powerful. It turns out that you're just a wax figure. Nice to look at but useless. Seeing that Ningyu was defeated in one move, the slightly plump cultivator from the Blood God Palace laughed and said, "If we had known, we would have attacked earlier." "Yes, let this kid live for a few more minutes," the short cultivator agreed. "Rong Chong, I'll leave this kid to you. I'll go and get the red flying sword first." The slightly plump cultivator smirked and immediately tore through the void to chase after the red demon sword. The action of the slightly plump cultivator annoyed the short cultivator called Rong Chong. The short cultivator also knew that the red demon sword was a royal level flying sword. After obtaining it, his overall strength would be greatly improved. Damn, Rong Wei has all the good things. I can only drink some soup. Although he was unhappy, Rong Chong didn't dare to fight with Rong Wei for the red demon sword. Although Rong Chong and Rong Wei were both in the later stage of the creation realm, the key was that Rong Wei had a supreme realm cultivator as his backer in the Blood God Palace. It was all because of this supreme realm cultivator that Rong Wei could get such a good job as controlling the Great Xia Kingdom. Chapter 758. Chapter 758, Soul Attack Swoosh. Rong Wei was very fast and arrived beside the Red Fiend sword in an instant. Under the pressure of Rong Wei's powerful aura, the Red Fiend sword could not move at all. After fusing with the Red Demon sword, the Red Demon's strength could only contend with a half-step creation realm warrior. It would be difficult for it to contend with a warrior in the beginning stage of the creation realm, much less Rong Wei, who was in the later stage of the creation realm. Damn it, let's go all out. Ning Yu was not an indecisive person. The current situation was very disadvantageous to him, very disadvantageous. Once the Red Fiend sword was taken away by Rong Wei, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, Ning Yu decided to take a gamble. As Ning Yu descended, he quietly fished out the purple light spot that evil King Purple Spirit had transformed into. Gulp. This time, Ning Yu did not care and directly swallowed the purple light spot. Rumble. As soon as Ning Yu swallowed the purple light spot, he felt an extremely terrifying energy wreaking havoc in his body. This energy was extremely violent, and Ning Yu could even feel a thick soul force fluctuation inside. Yuan Qi and soul force. After all, evil King Purple Spirit was the king of elixir puppets. It was not surprising that he had both Yuan Qi and soul force. Spirit transformation art. Ning Yu did not dare to waste even a fraction of a second. Time was life. Ning Yu hurriedly circulated the spirit transformation art and guided the Yuan Qi in his body into his consciousness. As for the pure soul force, Ning Yu chose to temporarily seal it. If there was a chance, he could use it as a trump card. Buzz buzz. Ning Yu's cultivation was at the late stage yin-yang realm, but as the pure Yuan Qi in his consciousness increased, he actually had a tendency to break through to the peak of yin-yang realm. I can't break through, suppress it. Ning Yu knew that he must not try to break through at this time. He had to suppress it, constantly suppress it. There was nothing wrong with trying to break through, but it also depended on time. Rong Chong was chasing behind, and Rong Wei was fighting for control of the Red Fiend sword. Everything was detrimental to Ning Yu's attempt to break through. In other words, there wasn't enough time. Therefore, Ning Yu had to suppress it with all his might. Life and death palm. After suppressing it to the limit, Ning Yu's eyes emitted a shocking light, and he suddenly turned around and rushed towards Rong Chong. You want to take my palm? Rong Chong was already very angry. Now that he saw Ning Yu recklessly wanting to exchange palms with him, he was even angrier. At this moment, Rong strengthened his grief and anger into strength. His palm brought bursts of Yuan Qi wind, colliding with Ning Yu's palm. Pa. The two palms collided, and a crisp sound rang out. Rong Chong and Ning Yu both took several steps back. Ning Yu took more than 10 steps back, while Rong Chong only took 1 step back. After all, Ning Yu was only at the late stage of yin-yang realm, while Rong Chong was at the late stage of creation realm. There was a huge gap between the two, and there was no way to compare them. I'll start with you first. Rong Chong turned his head to look at Rong Wei, who was approaching the red demon sword. Then, he stomped on the ground and rushed towards Ning Yu again. Hu Jian, Ning Yu is mine. Don't let anyone kill him. In the void outside Danwu College, Mu Tian could not help but shout when he saw Rong Chong's powerful attack. Wait a little longer. Ning Yu won't be defeated so easily. Hu Jian frowned slightly. He still felt that Ning Yu had changed in that instant. Although Hu Jian did not know what changes had happened to Ning Yu, to him, Ning Yu's strength seemed to have increased significantly. Wait Maya *s. If Ning you can block that late-stage creation realm martial artist's attack, my head will. F***ck. Mu Tian was furious at Hu Jian's inaction. However, before Mu Tian could finish his angry words, he opened his mouth and cursed. Next to Mu Tian, Hu Jian was also dumbfounded. He could not believe what he was seeing. What was wrong with this world? If it was a coincidence that Ning Yu had killed the corpse puppet earlier, then the fact that Ning Yu and Rong Wei were evenly matched now shocked everyone. In midair, Ning Yu's palm and Rong Wei's palm were pressed against each other. Neither could push the other back. Impossible. How is this possible? Not only was the crowd dumbfounded, but Rong Qiong, who was one of the parties involved, was also dumbfounded. Before he fought with Ning Yu, Rong Qiong did not believe that Ning Yu could fight him head-on. Originally, Rong Qiong thought that Ning Yu could at most block one of his moves. After that, Ning Yu would be killed by him. Dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. Not only did Ning Yu block one of his moves, but he was also evenly matched with him in the second move. Nothing is impossible. Originally, Ning Yu could make use of the purple light spot to impact the peak of Yin-Yang realm. But time and situation did not allow it, resulting in Ning Yu could only settle for the next best thing, gathering half of the essence energy in the purple light spot on his palm. Doing so had indeed produced an unexpected effect. The instant Rong Qiong was dumbfounded, Ning Yu seized the opportunity and blasted out all the essence energy in his palm. Poochie. The tremendous force that came from the palm made Rong Qiong's eyes narrow, and he hurriedly wanted to withdraw his palm. However, no matter how hard Rong Qiong tried, he could not withdraw his palm. Ning Yu's palm was like a magnet, firmly sucking his palm. Life and death palm. When Rong Qiong tried hard to withdraw his palm, Ning Yu gathered his soul force on his other hand and pushed out with a palm. Bang! As Rong Qiong could not withdraw his palm, Ning Yu's palm landed on Rong Qiong's chest very easily. Ha ha ha. Although Ning Yu's palm hit his chest, Rong Qiong let out a loud laugh. This was because Rong Qiong did not feel the slightest threat from Ning Yu's palm. In other words, Ning Yu's palm did not have any effect. Laugh all you want. You will cry later. After the attack, Ning Yu withdrew his palm and thought to himself, Rong Qiong, hurry up and kill that kid. Come over and protect me. On the other side, Rong Wei had already grabbed the red demon sword. Although he had the red demon sword, Rong Wei did not dare to refine it in front of so many people. If someone deliberately caused trouble, the consequences would be unimaginable. After all, the red demon sword was a monarch flying sword, and it was very difficult to refine it. A slight mistake would result in failure. Damn it! Upon hearing Rong Wei's voice, Rong Qiong cursed and said loudly, wait for me for a few more seconds. I will protect you in a few seconds. Rong Qiong did not waste any more time. Since Ning Yu's essence energy was stronger, he would use another method. Instead of using his essence energy, he would use his soul force. Fart. However, just as Rong Qiong circulated his soul force, his pupils shrank and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Kid, what did you do to me? Rong Qiong said coldly. I didn't do anything to you. Oh, right. Ning Yu shrugged and said indifferently, I forgot to tell you. That palm just now was not an ordinary essence energy palm. It was a soul attack spell. What? A soul attack spell? Fart. Chapter 759. Good chance. Chapter 759. Rong Qiong felt like he had just been screwed. Rong Qiong knew that Ning Yu's primordial qi was relatively strong, even comparable to his. Therefore, Rong Qiong planned to give up on primordial qi and use soul power to kill Ning Yu. But man proposes, God disposes. Ning Yu thought more than him. The palm that he overlooked turned out to be a soul attack spell. Brat, even if I don't use soul power, killing you is as easy as taking something out of my pocket. Rong Qiong wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and berated. Noisy. Ning Yu could not be bothered to waste time with Rong Qiong. In Ning Yu's mind, he had already been sentenced to death by Rong Qiong. Rong Qiong's soul power was heavily injured, and his primordial qi was not as strong as his. What could he use to fight him? Swoosh. Ning Yu's hands suddenly tore the void, and his body went straight in. Not good. Seeing Ning Yu enter the void, Rong Chong's pupils constricted, and he immediately retreated. Rong Chong would not pretend to be strong. If he could win, he would fight. If he could not, he would run. In conclusion, Rong Chong still knew his limits. He knew that even if he used all his strength, he could not defeat Ning Yu. Instead, the damage to his soul power would become more and more serious. To Manifestation Realm martial artists, soul power was very important. When two Manifestation Realm martial artists of similar cultivation levels fought, it could basically be concluded that the one with the stronger soul power would definitely win. The moment Ning Yu disappeared, Rong Chong directly flew in Rong Wei's direction without a word. At the same time, Rong Chong shouted, "Rong Wei, don't refine that royal-grade flying sword first. Help me kill this brat first. Damn it. You can't even finish off a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. What use do you have?" Rong Wei had just sat down, and before he had time to examine the red demon sword, he heard Rong Chong's shout. Seeing Rong Chong's wretched appearance, Rong Wei first cursed, and then shouted in a low voice, "Get out of my way. Watch carefully how I kill this trash." After shouting, Rong Wei grabbed the void with his right hand, and immediately, a ball of light containing violent energy was caught in his hand. "Go." As Rong Wei growled, he suddenly pushed out his right hand. Kai Kai. The ball of light was extremely fast, and its target was Rong Chong. Seeing this, Rong Chong's face changed greatly and revealed a terrified expression. F***CK. If you don't want to die, get out of the way, Rong Wei scolded again when he saw Rong Chong standing there in a daze. Whoosh. Hearing this, Rong Chong immediately turned his head away. Fortunately, Rong Chong turned his head in time. Otherwise, Rong Wei's attack, which contained violent energy, was enough to blast him into pieces. Life and death palm. In the void, Ning Yu looked at the ball of light that was approaching him. Without any delay, he immediately slapped out a palm print. A huge blood-red palm print appeared in the void and collided with the ball of light. Kacha. The palm print and the ball of light collided, and a crisp cracking sound came from the center of the collision. Then, the ball of light and the palm print both dissipated, and no one could do anything to the other. Rong Wei did not expect the late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist in front of him to be so powerful. One must know that the ball of light that he attacked was very powerful. When he was in the early-stage manifestation realm, he relied on the ball of light to defeat a middle-stage manifestation realm martial artist. Now that he had advanced to the late-stage manifestation realm, he actually could not defeat a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist with the ball of light. He had just called Rong Chong trash. It was really ironic, extremely ironic. Pretending to be weak to eat the tiger. At this moment, Rong Wei thought of such a possibility. Ning Yu was most likely pretending to be weak to eat the tiger. After all, it was hard for a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist to defeat Rong Chong, who was in the late-stage manifestation realm, after killing a late-stage manifestation realm corpse art. Rong Wei took a deep breath and calmly said, "Show your true appearance. Let me see exactly what kind of divine being you are." He had regained his calm. "Show me my true face." Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat. Since Rong Wei said this, it meant that he was very afraid of him. At the very least, Rong Wei would not dare to make a move. Thinking of this, Ning Yu said calmly, "I am not a god. I am just a fake saint of Danwu College in the Great Xia Kingdom. Don't think that I won't know if you don't tell me." Rong Wei coldly snorted and shifted his gaze to the main entrance of Danwu College. There, the Dark Emperor and the others were fighting with the remnants of the Corpse Yin sect. Rong Wei smiled and said sinisterly, 8 early-stage manifestation realm martial artists from the Corpse Yin sect. If I save them, I wonder what kind of impact it will have on Danwu College. Hua. When Rong Wei's words fell into Ning Yu's heart, Ning Yu's expression became extremely cold. Let the remnants of the Corpse Yin sect escape? If Rong Wei really did this, the consequences would be unimaginable. Rong Chong has already been defeated by me. Do you think that you are so powerful that you can save 8 Corpse Yin sect martial artists by yourself? Ning Yu secretly circulated the spirit transformation art. While controlling the pure soul force in his body, he said indifferently, "If I can defeat Rong Qiong, I can also defeat you. Have you lost your mind? Rong Qiong can fight with me. F***ck. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Rong Wei was just about to mock him, but his expression changed drastically. Because Rong Wei saw Ning Yu tearing through the void again and rushing out. To be honest, Rong Wei was a little afraid when he saw Ning Yu charging forward with an indomitable spirit. However, Rong Wei was a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist after all, and his strength was much higher than Rong Qiong's. Rong Wei would not be scared by Ning Yu. He casually put the red demon's sword into his pocket and rushed out. Red demon, what do I need to do to break Rong Wei's control over you? On the surface, Ning Yu wanted to fight Rong Wei, but that was not the case. Ning Yu was not stupid. The reason why he could defeat Rong Qiong was because Rong Qiong was careless and fell for his soul attack. Rong Wei was not stupid. Moreover, Rong Wei's soul force was a small rank higher than Rong Qiong's. It would be very difficult for him to use soul attack spells. Therefore, Ning Yu had an ulterior motive. His goal was to save the red demon. With Ning Yu's Yuan Qi and pure soul force, he could at least seriously injure Rong Wei with the full strength of the red demon sword solitaire. Rong Wei used his soul force to trap me. You just need to let Rong Wei withdraw his soul force, and I will naturally be able to leave. The red demon's voice entered Ning Yu's ears. Life and death palm. Actually, Ning Yu did not plan to use soul attack spells at the beginning. After all, soul attack spells would not be effective. However, with the red demon's request, Ning Yu had no other choice. He could only use the palm of life and death again. Rong Wei, be careful. This kid is using soul attack spells. Rong Qiong shouted when he saw the palm print that Ning Yu had used. You stay on the side, I know he's using a soul attack technique. Rong Wei waved his hand impatiently. Then, he released the soul force in his body and used a soul attack spell. Crack. However, Rong Wei had just used his soul attack spell when a crisp sound came from his pocket. Oh no. Chapter 760. Chapter 760. Killing Rong Wei. The reason why Rong Wei was stunned was because a red light shot out from his arms after the crisp sound was heard. The red light was naturally the red demon sword. The royal level flying sword that he had painstakingly obtained actually flew away just like that. How could Rong Wei not be stunned? Good chance. Rong Wei was stunned, but Ning Yu would not let go of such a good opportunity. Originally, Ning Yu thought that the soul attack spell was just a formality and could not threaten Rong Wei. However, reality was so fickle. Rong Wei's momentary daze gave Ning Yu hope. Therefore, Ning Yu did not hold back anymore. He channeled all the soul power and primordial qi in his body into his wrist and punched at Rong Wei's heart with a violent gust of wind. Kai Kai. Ning Yu's punch was very fast and arrived in front of Rong Wei almost in an instant. Oh no. Seeing the fist suddenly appear in front of him, Rong Wei's expression changed and he subconsciously screamed. Bang! However, Ning Yu did not care whether Rong Wei screamed or not. Now was the best opportunity to kill Rong Wei. If he missed this opportunity, he would not get it again. How could Ning Yu waste it? A crisp sound was heard. Poochie. Then, Rong Wei's eyes widened and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. You. Rong Wei looked down at the hole in his heart and stretched out his hand to point at Ning Yu. He wanted to say something, but before he could finish, he fell to the ground. At this moment, Rong Wei, a martial artist from Blood God Palace in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm, was easily killed by Ning Yu. Swoosh. Rong Wei's death caused the surroundings to instantly fall silent. Rong Wei was a martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm and was extremely powerful. It could be said that Rong Wei's strength was much stronger than the corpse techniques. Even two corpse techniques might not be a match for Rong Wei. However, such a powerful martial artist in the advanced stage of the manifestation realm was easily killed by Ning Yu. It happened so quickly that everyone could not react in time. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva and broke the brief silence. Isn't Ningyu a little too powerful? Of course he's strong. He killed 2 martial artists in the later stage of the manifestation realm. In my opinion, the martial artist in the later stage of the manifestation realm next to him will not be able to escape death. With Ningyu around, who would dare barge into Danwu College in the future? After a moment of silence, the crowd began to discuss among themselves. Somewhere in the void outside Danwu College, Mu Tian was dumbfounded. There was only one word that could describe Mu Tian at this moment. Idiot. Mu Tian's expression was no different from that of a fool. The strength displayed by Ningyu almost made Mu Tian despair. If Ningyu had only killed a martial artist in the later stage of the creation realm, Mu Tian would still be confident that he was not that much weaker than Ningyu. However, now that Ningyu had killed late-stage creation realm martial artists one after another, Mu Tian was dumbfounded. How the F***ck was he supposed to fight? Hu Jian, I don't want to investigate that matter anymore. I want to go back to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple first. Mu Tian took a deep breath as if he had seen through everything. He said calmly, when Ningyu leaves Danwu College, kill him and bring his head to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple to find me. Buzz buzz. After saying that, Mu Tian's figure gradually turned illusory and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Despair, helplessness, and even a little fear. Mu Tian knew that he had to return to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple for seclusion. Otherwise, he would definitely go berserk if he stayed here for a few more days. It's good to go back. Looking in the direction where Mu Tian left, Hu Jian murmured, otherwise, if anything happens to you in the Great Xia Kingdom, I won't be able to explain it to the Supreme Elder. In fact, when Mu Tian applied to come to the Great Xia Kingdom to investigate that matter, Hu Jian strongly opposed it. However, Mu Tian's father was the 5th Supreme Elder of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Hu Jian had no choice but to follow behind to protect Mu Tian. This time, Mu Tian chose to return to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Hu Jian didn't follow behind to protect him. After all, Hu Jian had more important things to do. And that was to kill Ningyu. Whether or not he could kill Ningyu was related to whether or not Hu Jian could advance to the supremacy realm in the future. This matter couldn't be taken lightly. He was killed so easily. In Danwu College, Ningyu stared at Rong Wei, who couldn't be more dead. His mouth was slightly agape, and he was a little dumbfounded. To be honest, even Ningyu didn't expect to kill Rong Wei so easily. Rong Wei was a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist. How could he be so weak? Swish. Right at this moment, Hong Fiend transformed into his human form and appeared beside Ningyu with the Red Fiend sword in his hand. Hong Fiend first handed the Red Fiend sword to Ningyu, then pointed at Rong Chong and said, "There's another one." Ningyu took the Red Fiend sword and said calmly, "This one has already suffered heavy injuries. There's nothing to be afraid of." Boom. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar sounded. Swish. Then, a black figure dashed over from afar. Dark Emperor? Looking at the black figure that was approaching him, Ningyu frowned slightly and shifted his gaze to the main entrance of Danwu College. I'm going to kill him. Originally, Ningyu wanted to find the martial artist from the corpse sect who fought with the Dark Emperor. However, when Ningyu saw the corpse on the ground, he couldn't help but curse. The Dark Emperor was too ruthless. The early-stage manifestation realm martial artist from the corpse sect had been searched inside and out. At this moment, only a skeleton was left. Ningyu, leave this late-stage manifestation realm martial artist to me no matter what. Before the Dark Emperor arrived, his voice sounded first, I'm now at the peak of the late-stage yin-yang realm. I'm only one step away from advancing to the peak of the yin-yang realm. As long as I devour this late-stage manifestation realm martial artist, I can easily advance to the peak of the yin-yang realm. Hiss. Rong Chong was originally recuperating with all his might. However, when he heard the Dark Emperor's words, he shivered and sucked in a breath of cold air. Unlucky year, this trip to the Great Xia Kingdom was really unlucky. At first, he thought that it was a lucrative job, but who would have thought that it would be so unlucky? Rong Wei had already been killed, and now he was on the verge of death. Ningyu, you can't kill me. We've already ransacked the headquarters of the Great Shia Kingdom's corpse sec. At this time, Rong Chong couldn't care less. He shouted, "If you let me go, I can tell you where those treasures are hidden." Wait. At first, Ning Yu didn't want to get involved in this matter. After all, if the heaven-devouring dog clan wanted to advance, they had to rely on devouring. However, the temptation that Rong Chong said made Ning Yu unable to refuse. F***ck, Ning Yu, I already said that this guy is mine. No one can take him away. After being stopped by Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor said with a displeased expression. Ning Yu ignored the Dark Emperor. Instead, he slowly walked to Rong Chong's side and said indifferently, "How can I believe you?" Chapter 761. Hu Jian interfered. "If you dare to speak any more nonsense, I don't mind killing you right now." Ning Yu said impatiently, "I'm asking how I can trust you." Understood, understood. Rong Chong rolled his eyes and said, "We hid all the treasures we plundered from the corpse sect's headquarters outside the capital. As long as you leave the capital with me, I can guarantee that those treasures will all be yours." Dark Emperor. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that the Dark Emperor could take action. There was only one way to deal with someone like Fu Rongqiang. That was to kill. Since there was no point in keeping him alive, it was better to kill him first. Ning Yu wasn't afraid of killing Rongqiang. There was no way to know if what he said was true or false. After all, Zun Jianwen was still in the spatial ring. The formation that Zun Jianwen set up could make a dead person say everything he knew. "You can't kill me. If you kill me, don't even think about getting those treasures." Seeing the Dark Emperor rushing towards him, Rongqiang let out a hysterical cry. "Go ahead and scream. Even if you scream until your throat breaks, no one will come to save you." The Dark Emperor didn't care about the treasures. In his heart, devouring them first was the way of the king. The world was big, and his advancement to the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang realm was the most important. Everything else had to be pushed aside. If Rongqiang wasn't heavily injured, even 10 Dark Emperors might not be his match. After being heavily injured, even 10 of him might not be a match for the Dark Emperor. "No, no! Ah!" Looking at the Dark Emperor, Rongqiang yelled. Before Rongqiang's yell finished, he let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered. At this moment, Rongqiang, who was at the late stage of the manifestation realm, was killed by the Dark Emperor on the spot. The Dark Emperor didn't waste even a little bit of time. After killing Rongqiang, the Dark Emperor grabbed him and turned into a blur as he tried to enter the spatial ring. Boom! However, before the Dark Emperor could enter the spatial ring, the blur was blasted out by a huge cold light. Poochie. As the Dark Emperor was in a hurry to devour Rongqiang, he wasn't on guard. Firstly, the Dark Emperor was caught off guard, and secondly, the power of the cold light was too great, causing the Dark Emperor to be severely injured. "Come here." Then, a deep voice sounded in the area. Ning Yu saw Rong Wei and Rongqiang, who were beside him, gradually turning illusory and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Damn it! Rong Wei and Rongqiang had gone through a lot of trouble to kill them, but now they had been easily stolen by someone else. How could Ning Yu not be angry? When Ning Yu saw the figure that appeared in the void not far away, his face instantly darkened. Hu Jian. The martial artist who stole Rongqiang and Rong Wei's corpses was none other than Hu Jian from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. If it was someone else, Ning Yu would definitely demand justice on the spot. However, Hu Jian was at the peak of the creation realm. He was very powerful. Ning Yu wasn't at his peak right now, so he definitely wouldn't dare to chase him out of Danwu College. "Hihi, Ning Yu, is your head rusty?" In the air outside Danwu College, Hu Jian took a storage bag from Rongqiang and Rong Wei and said with a smile, "Didn't your master teach you to plunder after killing someone?" TSK, it seems that Trash Rongqiang was right. He and Rong Wei did go to the headquarters of the Corpse Yin sect and plunder all the treasures inside. Hu Jian used his perception to check the storage bag, then smacked his lips and said, "There are still 5 days left. I will guard outside Danwu College for these 5 days. Let's meet again in 5 days." With that, Hu Jian's figure turned illusory and disappeared into the void. As for Rong Qiong and Rong Wei, they were taken away by Hu Jian. Dark Emperor, quickly go into the storage ring to recuperate. You can use the king-grade origin crystals inside. Ningyu knew that it was useless to be angry now, so he immediately regained his composure and said to the Dark Emperor. The Dark Emperor was injured by Hu Jian. Although it wasn't fatal, it was better to treat it earlier. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor didn't hesitate. His figure flickered and went straight into the storage ring. Rumble. As soon as the Dark Emperor entered the storage ring, there was news of victory in the battle on the other side. Furball rolled into a ball and directly pierced through the chest of the corpse yin sect cultivator that he was fighting. Woof woof. After killing the corpse yin sect cultivator, Furball barked at Ningyu as if he was asking for credit. Bang! Bang! On the other side, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast didn't disappoint. They followed closely behind Furball and killed the corpse yin sect cultivator. Crack! Crack! Then, the Black Widow, the Black and White heroes, Ouyang Lun and the others all came back with good news. Although their strength wasn't the strongest among the initial manifestation realm cultivators, their willpower was very strong. In addition, the corpse yin sect cultivators didn't want to continue fighting. In the end, they gradually gained the upper hand and killed the corpse yin sect cultivators. Whoosh! After the few initial manifestation realm cultivators of the corpse yin sect were killed, the surrounding cultivators heaved a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. This time, the corpse yin sect sent out a total of 32 peak experts, including the sect leader. After a period of fierce battle, all 32 peak experts of the corpse yin sect were killed without exception. After this battle, Ningyu left an indelible impression in the hearts of the people of Danwu College and even the capital. However, there were more people who were worried. All the Origin Core realm cultivators more or less knew how terrifying Hu Jian was. Hu Jian had openly snatched Rong Wei from Ningyu's hands. Rong Wei was strong, but Ningyu didn't dare to resist. This was enough to show that Ningyu was afraid of Hu Jian. However, in the hearts of the young people, Ningyu had become their goal in the future. Ningyu couldn't care less about what the others thought in their hearts. At this moment, Ningyu took a deep breath. His eyes swept across the Black Widow and the others and he said in a deep voice, "Thank you all this time. Please come in and have a chat." The Black Widow and the others didn't refuse. They had also seen Hu Jian's strength just now. It could be said that if they left now and Hu Jian attacked them, only death would await them. After this battle, they were already tied together with Ningyu and stood on the same boat. Ningyu looked at Mu Feng and said, "Dean Mu, I need a quiet place." Mu Feng was the dean of Danwu College, so Ningyu naturally wouldn't forget him. After thinking for a while, Ningyu said to old ancestor Ju Mo, "Senior Ju Mo, come with us. Hu Jian only gave us 5 days. After 5 days, we will fight to the death with Hu Jian." Initially, Ningyu didn't want to call him old ancestor Ju Mo. After all, he wanted to do something big next. If he could accomplish this big thing, he might even be able to survive this crisis. Old ancestor Ju Mo was only a half-step manifestation realm martial artist. If he participated, Ningyu would be exhausted. However, old ancestor Ju Mo was Ningyu's benefactor, and Ningyu wasn't the kind of person who didn't repay kindness. Old ancestor Ju Mo nodded. From Ningyu's tone, old ancestor Ju Mo heard something, but he wasn't very sure. "Let's go." In the next moment, Ningyu waved his hand and flew toward the depths of Danwu College. Chapter 762. Great Fortune. Danwu College, Pill Cavern. Creak. The heavy stone door was slowly pushed open. Then, several figures rushed out and entered the Pill Cavern. After entering the Pill Cavern, these figures did not linger. Instead, they headed straight for the depths of the Pill Cavern. Not long after, everyone arrived at the depths of the Pill Cavern. However, the depths of the Pill Cavern were vastly different from 2 days ago. In order to break open the void of the Pill Cavern as soon as possible, Violet Spirit had plundered most of the light spots in the depths of the Pill Cavern. What's going on? Has the Pill Cavern been ransacked? Why can't I see any pill puppets? Mu Feng was confused. Mu Feng had entered the pill cavern frequently in the past, but he had encountered many pill puppets even in the outer region. Now that they were in the depths of the pill cavern, there was not a single pill puppet to be seen. Not only are there no pill puppets, but there are also fewer white and golden light spots. Forefather Jumo had also been to the pill cavern a few times, so he had some understanding of the situation inside. The current situation made Forefather Jumo confused. If they did not encounter any pill puppets, it could be explained that they had hidden themselves. After all, their group was stronger. However, there was no explanation for the disappearance of many white and golden light spots. I'll explain to you later about Danny and the reduction of the light spots. Ningyu took a deep breath and said, "Now, everyone spread out. No matter what happens later, don't be surprised." Whoosh. Although everyone did not know what Ningyu was going to do, they still spread out and sat cross-legged on the ground. "Red Fiend, are you ready?" Ningyu said to the Red Fiend sword in his hand after everyone had spread out. Before entering the pill cavern, the Red Fiend sword had fused with the Red Fiend sword to save a lot of trouble. Buzz. The Red Fiend sword let out a slight buzzing sound. Its meaning was clear. Go. Upon seeing this, Ningyu flicked his wrist and tossed the Red Demon sword into the air. Rumble. The Red Fiend sword had just arrived in the air when a terrifying devouring power was emitted from the sword. Hiss. Mu Feng and the others sucked in a breath of cold air when they felt the terrifying devouring power emitted by the Red Demon sword. Some of them even stood up from the ground, wanting to leave. "Everyone, sit down." However, Ningyu's berating made these martialists sit back down again. What happened next proved that everyone's worries were completely unnecessary. With the Red Demon sword as the center, the surrounding light spots were all sucked in. In fact, it wasn't just the light spots. Even the energy in the void was being sucked over. As expected of a monarch rank flying sword, it's actually able to automatically devour the energy in its surroundings. The Red Demon sword's stunning performance caused everyone to reveal expressions of surprise. Mu Feng and the others were all powerful individuals, and their eyesight was not weak. Through the battle between Ningyu and Rong Wei not long ago, they already knew that the Red Demon sword was a monarch rank flying sword. Now that they saw the power of the Red Demon sword, they were naturally astonished. Buzz. Just as everyone revealed a surprised expression, their mouths were agape, and their faces were filled with confusion. This was because after the monarch rank flying sword devoured a certain amount of energy, it actually began to release primordial chi. In fact, the primordial chi released by the monarch rank flying sword seemed to contain a trace of the aura of holy chi. An uproar broke out. This time, it was really an uproar. That was holy chi. Even supremacy stage martialists might not necessarily be able to use it to cultivate, let alone creation stage martialists. It could be said that if they had holy chi, they could even advance a level in a very short period of time. After all, everyone's foundation was not weak. It was just that they did not dare to break through to the next level. If they had holy chi, coupled with the rich primordial chi released by the Red Demon sword, they would definitely dare to take the risk. All of you, listen up. Before you devour this primordial chi, everyone must swear a heavenly Tao oath. Right when everyone was looking forward to being able to charge into the next realm, Ningyu's voice resounded in this area, and it was slightly gloomy. If anyone spreads word of what happened today, then don't blame me for being merciless. Boom. As soon as the word chi fell, Ningyu's aura instantly erupted and soared into the sky. The aura emitted from Ningyu's body caused Mu Feng and the others to be stunned on the spot. Terrifying. Extremely terrifying. Although the aura on Ningyu's body only flashed for a moment, it still left an indelible impression in everyone's hearts. Ningyu, don't worry. We definitely won't tell anyone. The Dark Emperor set an example and was the first to swear a heavenly Tao oath. Woof woof. Furball also barked twice, indicating that he had also sworn a heavenly Tao oath. Count me in. Me too. Me too. Apart from the Dark Emperor and Furball, everyone else also swore a heavenly Tao oath. Alright, this next great opportunity, just treat it as a gift from Danwu College. Ningyu's gaze swept across everyone, and then his figure gradually became illusory, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Actually, Ningyu was right. He really could not give this opportunity to everyone. In order to allow everyone to break through in a short period of time, Ningyu placed the flower bud into the red devil sword, allowing the flower bud and the red devil sword to absorb the energy in the entire pill cavern together. Without the pill cavern, no matter how hard he worked, he would not be able to produce so much pure yuan qi. The reason why Ningyu disappeared was because he wanted to enter the red devil sword. He wanted to personally control the red devil sword and the flower bud. The red devil sword was only at the middle stage of the yin-yang stage. If he were to control the red devil sword and the flower bud alone, there might be an unforeseen event. Even if there was only a slight chance of an unforeseen event happening, Ningyu would definitely not let it happen. Swoosh! Suddenly, several pure yuan qi emitted from the red devil sword. Because they had not obtained Ningyu's approval, everyone sat on the ground, not daring to take the initiative to absorb the yuan qi. What are you waiting for? Absorb as much as you can. You only have 5 days. Seeing that everyone was sitting on the ground obediently, Ningyu shouted. Ningyu's words were like a fuse, directly detonating everyone. Immediately after, Mu Feng and the others used their spells and began to absorb the pure yuan qi in the air. Not only was there a lot of yuan qi in the air, but it was also pure. Most importantly, there was also some sacred qi. After absorbing for about an hour, Mu Feng and the others all recovered to their peak state. In fact, the Dark Emperor, who was at the late stage of the yin-yang stage, seemed to be on the verge of breaking through. How stingy! If I had known that Ningyu was so capable, I would have long advanced to the creation realm. The Dark Emperor mumbled as he absorbed the pure yuan qi. Among the 8 people, including old ancestor Ju Mo, the Dark Emperor's speed of absorbing yuan qi was enough to rank in the top 3. Apart from Furball and Mu Feng, no one else was faster than him. Chapter 763. Chapter 763, a complicated situation. After transforming into his original form, the Dark Emperor's absorption speed increased significantly. But even so, the Dark Emperor's absorption speed only entered the top 2 from the top 3. There were still people who were faster than him. Furball. Furball's bloodline was much thicker than the Dark Emperor's. In addition, Furball had awakened 20% of his bloodline power. Therefore, his absorption speed was undoubtedly number 1. The Dark Emperor's transformation into his original form shocked Mu Feng and the rest. They weren't surprised that the Dark Emperor could speak. After all, there were many dogs that could speak. It wouldn't attract their attention. Now that the Dark Emperor had transformed into his original form, it completely attracted their attention. Heaven-devouring hound. And it was the Emperor of the Heaven-devouring hound clan, the purple-gold Heaven-devouring hound. Who is Ningyu? Why is there a purple-gold Heaven-devouring hound by his side? The Dark Emperor is a purple-gold Heaven-devouring hound. That white dog is likely a purple-gold Heaven-devouring hound too. 2 purple-gold Heaven-devouring hounds by his side, isn't that too terrifying? It's not terrifying at all. You have to know that the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast are both by Ningyu's side. Mu Feng and the rest were only momentarily shocked and quickly returned to normal. After all, this was an extremely rare opportunity. They definitely didn't want to waste it. Inside the pill cavern, Mu Feng and the rest were absorbing energy to cultivate. Outside Danwu College, Hu Jian hid in the void with an extremely cold expression. For some reason, Hu Jian had an uneasy feeling that something big was about to happen. This uneasy feeling had been growing since Ningyu killed Rong Wei and Rong Qiong. Now, it was getting stronger and stronger. The intense uneasy feeling made Hu Jian have an urge to leave the Great Xia Kingdom. No matter what, I have to kill Ningyu and remove the demon in my heart. Hu Jian took a deep breath and said gloomily. Hu Jian was very clear that as long as Ningyu didn't die, he could forget about advancing to the supremacy realm. Therefore, even if he felt uneasy, even if he knew something was about to happen, Hu Jian would never leave the Great Xia Kingdom. Creak. At this moment, a hidden palace door was slowly pushed open. A middle-aged man in a white robe walked in from outside the hall. Reporting to the sovereign, the branch leader of the Da Xia Kingdom's branch was killed an hour ago. The middle-aged man entered the main hall and reported in a deep voice. Recently, the Blood God Palace has been a bit restless. Their tentacles have begun to spread out. Before the middle-aged man could finish his sentence, a grey-robed martial artist in the main hall waved his hand and interrupted him. The Lan Qing Kingdom is already under the control of the Blood God Palace. You will personally go to the Great Xia Kingdom and support another patriarch. Give him a death order to take control of the Great Xia Kingdom before the Blood God Palace. Oh right. Seeing that the middle-aged man was about to leave, the grey-robed martial artist called out to him and continued, "You will temporarily stay in the Great Xia Kingdom for this period of time. I have received accurate information that the Supreme Nine Purities Temple will be sending someone to the Great Xia Kingdom in a few days. You will pay close attention to the movements of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and report to me at any time." Understood. The middle-aged man responded, and then his figure gradually disappeared. Dong dong. After the middle-aged man left, the grey-robed martial artist's fingers gently knocked on the seat below him, which produced a thumping sound. This is getting more and more interesting. A small Great Xia Kingdom actually attracted the attention of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and the Blood God Palace, the two major sects of the Sky Demon region. The grey-robed martial artist knocked on the seat and murmured, "Since the two major sects are involved, I don't mind stirring up the water a bit more. As the saying goes, fish in troubled waters." Report. A martial artist suddenly appeared outside the door of a secret room. "Elder, something happened to Rong Wei." Crack. As soon as the martial artist's voice fell, the secret room's door was suddenly blasted open. Then, an elder walked out in a rage. "Speak. What happened?" The elder released his aura and was abnormally angry. Reporting to Elder, Rong Wei applied for the task of taking control of the Great Xia Kingdom a few days ago. Who would have thought that I just received news that Rong Wei was killed? Although this martial artist's cultivation had reached the shocking late stage of the creation realm, he didn't even dare to breathe loudly in front of the elder. This was because the elder's cultivation was even more terrifying than his. The Supremacy Realm. The elder's cultivation was at the Supremacy Realm. Although he was only at the Supremacy Realm, and a Grade 1 Supremacy at that, it was basically a piece of cake for him to kill a late-stage creation realm martial artist. "Whoever dares to kill Rong Wei is obviously making life difficult for me," the elder said coldly. "Pass down my order, let Zhao." "Forget it, I'll personally make a trip to the Great Xia Kingdom." Buzz buzz. The elder waved his hand and disappeared in an instant. Only a long time after the elder had disappeared did the late-stage creation realm martial artist dare to wipe the sweat off his forehead and reveal an expression of relief. Supremacy realm martial artists were very terrifying. Even a Grade 1 supremacy was a supreme existence. Ningyu didn't know that his killing of Corpse Mantra and Rong Wei had caused such a huge commotion. However, even if Ningyu knew, he definitely wouldn't have held back. After all, in a battle between experts, it was either one of them dying or the other. If he held back, he might die without a burial ground. At this moment, Ningyu was no longer in the Red Devil Sword. Instead, he was in the void beside the Red Devil Sword. Mu Feng and the rest needed pure Yuan Qi to cultivate. Naturally, Ningyu needed it too. Ningyu was very clear that even if Mu Feng and the rest increased their cultivation by one level, they still wouldn't be able to contend against Hu Jian. Hu Jian was at the peak of the creation realm. How could a few mid-stage creation realm martial artists contend against him? If that was the case, then the peak of the creation realm martial artists were too weak. Therefore, Ningyu didn't just want to increase the cultivation of Mu Feng and the rest. He wanted to increase his own cultivation too. Spirit Transformation Art. In the void, Ningyu controlled the Red Devil Sword and the Flower Bud to devour the Yuan Qi while circulating the Spirit Transformation Art to absorb the Yuan Qi to cultivate. It's time to cultivate the Spirit Transformation Art. Now that he had advanced to the late-stage Yin-Yang realm, the fourth level of the Spirit Transformation Art could no longer satisfy Ningyu. Ningyu made up his mind. After settling Hu Jian's matter, he would immediately cultivate the Spirit Transformation Art. At the very least, he had to cultivate it to the fifth level. Tick-tock, Time was ticking away. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. Rumble. When the second day arrived, Furball suddenly leaped up from the ground and floated in midair. An extremely terrifying aura emanated from Furball's body. Peak Yin-Yang Realm. At this moment, Furball broke through the late-stage Yin-Yang Realm and advanced to the peak Yin-Yang Realm. My God, my God. Kid, you actually advanced faster than me. Swallow for me. Seeing Furball advancing, the Dark Emperor was not to be outdone. In the next instant, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and swallowed all the Yuan Qi around him into his stomach. Bang! Immediately after, a dull sound came from the Dark Emperor's body. After the dull sound, the Dark Emperor's aura instantly reached the peak Yin-Yang Realm from the late-stage Yin-Yang Realm. Chapter 764. Chapter 764, Spatial Rupture. The Dark Emperor didn't care about formalities. After advancing to the pinnacle of Yin-Yang Realm, he raised his head at Furball as if provoking it. Woof woof. Furball wasn't a pushover either. Seeing that the Dark Emperor was provoking him, he barked and released his aura at the Dark Emperor. Kai kai. The two auras clashed in the air. The space that was shaking now looked like it was going to collapse. Isn't this too terrifying? The heaven-devouring dog is indeed powerful. It's indeed the darling of the heavens. Stop looking. Let's hurry up and cultivate. There are still 4 days until the 5-day deadline. If we can't advance to the mid-stage of Manifestation Realm, we probably won't even be able to take one attack from Hu Jian. Mu Feng was still rational. Although Furball and the Dark Emperor's aura were terrifying, he knew what he had to do and what was important. Yes, yes. Hurry up and cultivate. We can't fall behind. We have to advance to the mid-stage of Manifestation Realm as soon as possible so that Ningyu can rest. Ouyang Lun and the rest quickly said. In the opinion of Ouyang Lun and the others, Ningyu must have paid a great price in order to give them this enormous fortune. Perhaps Ningyu was struggling right now. If they wasted any more time, it would be a waste of resources and they would be letting down Ningyu. No chance. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, the Dark Emperor withdrew his aura and found a place to stabilize his cultivation. In just a few days, the Dark Emperor advanced from the mid-stage of Yin-Yang Realm to the pinnacle of Yin-Yang Realm. The energy in his body was restless and needed to be stabilized. Comparatively speaking, Furball didn't have such concerns. After all, Furball had awakened 20% of his bloodline power and his cultivation was very stable. However, Furball needed a huge amount of energy to advance to the Manifestation Realm. It could even catch up with the energy Mu Feng and the rest needed to advance to the mid-stage of Manifestation Realm. Therefore, Furball and the Dark Emperor found a place to rest. However, the Dark Emperor found a place to stabilize his cultivation while Furball found a place to lie down. It was really infuriating. The interlude between Furball and the Dark Emperor passed quickly. In the next 2 days, no one completed their advancement. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast might be half a step into the Manifestation Realm, and they were only 1 step away from the Manifestation Realm. However, they were demonic beasts, so the difficulty of advancing to the Manifestation Realm was not any lower than Mu Feng and the others. It could be said that without the nature pills, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast would not dare to break through to the nature realm so easily. Time flew, and when the 4th day was about to end, bang, a muffled sound rang out. Then, Mu Feng suddenly stood up from the ground with a profound expression in his eyes. Middle stage of the blessed realm. After 4 days of diligent cultivation, Mu Feng became the 3rd person to advance. No, he should be the 1st person to advance. After all, the Dark Emperor and Furball were both dogs, not humans. Bang! Bang! Not long after, 2 more muffled sounds rang out. The martial artists who advanced this time were the Black and White Heroes. The Black and White Heroes were originally at the peak of the early stage of the Blessed Realm. After 4 days of accumulation, they successfully advanced to the middle stage of the Blessed Realm. On the morning of the 5th day, bang! Bang! Another 2 muffled sounds rang out. Black Widow, Ouyang Lun. Logically, Ouyang Lun should have advanced to the middle stage of the Blessed Realm before the Black Widow. However, Ouyang Lun had a knot in his heart. A few days ago, Ouyang Lun swore a heavenly oath to Ningyu, saying that he would listen to Ningyu's instructions for the next year. It was this heavenly oath that became the knot in Ouyang Lun's heart for advancing to the manifestation realm. Fortunately, Ouyang Lun broke the knot in his heart, or he could forget about advancing to the middle stage of the blessed realm. Until now, the only ones who had not advanced were the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, as well as the half-step manifestation realm Old Ancestor Ju Mo. The reason why Old Ancestor Ju Mo had not advanced for so long was because he was far from the early stage of the blessed realm. It was a little difficult for him to advance in 5 days. As for the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, they did not want to advance at all, so they could not blame others. Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, I will protect you. Ningyu knew what the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were thinking. He temporarily gave up on advancing to the peak of the yin-yang realm and said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and advance. Otherwise, if you are killed by Hu Jian in one move, I cannot help you." Swoosh. Ningyu's words were like a huge rock pressing down on the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, making it difficult for them to breathe. Fight. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast looked at each other and decided to fight. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In order to let the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast advance to the early stage of the blessed realm, Ningyu did not hesitate to burn his soul force to increase the speed at which the flower bud and the red demon sword devoured Yuan Qi. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were both demonic beasts. When they advanced to the early stage of the blessed realm, their strength was even stronger than the middle stage of the blessed realm Mufeng. Therefore, even if he had to burn his soul force, Ningyu had to help them. Bang! Time passed by the minutes and seconds. Among the remaining 3, the first to advance was not the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast, but the half-step manifestation realm Old Ancestor Ju Mo. After advancing to the early stage of the blessed realm, Old Ancestor Ju Mo immediately flew to the other side and did not devour any more Yuan Qi. Old Ancestor Ju Mo was very clear that every strand of Yuan Qi was very important to the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. It was related to whether or not they could advance to the early stage of the blessed realm. The 5-day deadline was almost up. With every passing hour, everyone's expression would become a little more solemn. There are still 4 hours left. Ningyu continued to burn his soul force. No matter what, he had to let the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast advance successfully. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound rang out. The damaged wings on the silver-winged dragon's back actually grew out bit by bit. Crack! As the wings on the silver-winged dragon's back grew out, the twin horns on the twin-horned beast's head also slowly emerged. Everyone held their breath and stared at the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. Everyone knew that whether or not the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast could advance to the early stage of the blessed realm depended entirely on whether or not their wings and legs could completely grow out. Bang! Bang! 2 hours later. 2 crisp cracking sounds rang out. 2 towering auras were emitted from the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast. The early stage of the blessed realm. The silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast had broken through their limits and successfully advanced to the early stage of the blessed realm. We've finally advanced. Yeah, it's all thanks to Ningyu that we were able to advance this time. After successfully advancing, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast bowed towards the red demon sword in midair, expressing their heartfelt gratitude towards Ningyu. Crack! However, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast did not celebrate for long before their expressions changed drastically. This was because they discovered that the space around the red demon sword had suddenly caved in. At this moment, not only were the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast shocked, but even Ouyang Lun and the others beside them revealed horrified expressions. Not good, it's a spatial rupture. The one who was the most shocked was Mu Feng. As the old dean of Danwu College, Mu Feng more or less understood the happenings inside the pill cavern. From the ancient records, Mu Feng had learned that the space inside the pill cavern could indeed rupture at times. Chapter 765. Half-Step Supreme Being Realm Chapter 765. Half-step Supreme Being Realm buzz buzz. The space around the red demon's sword ruptured. If Ningyu continued to stay in the void, he would be shredded to pieces by the huge tearing force. Void jet spray. Looking at the collapsing space around him, Ningyu's expression was ugly, and his heart sank to the bottom. But at the same time, Ningyu was very puzzled. Evil King Violet Spirit had said that the space of the pill cavern would rupture after a period of time, and a large number of light spots would shoot out from within. But according to Evil King Violet Spirit, there was still at least a month before the next void jet spray. The current situation was obviously brought forward by the void jet spray. Dean Mu, take everyone and leave first. Leave this to me. Ningyu not only learned from Evil King Violet Spirit that there would be a large number of light spots shooting out from the void, but he also learned that there was a possibility of a powerful pill puppet being shot out from the void. Evil King Violet Spirit was a pill puppet at the peak of the manifestation realm, an existence that he feared. It was highly likely that his cultivation had reached the Supreme Being realm. TSK, leave it to you? Kid, can you handle it? However, just as Ningyu finished speaking, the surrounding void shrank rapidly, and a strange laughter came from the void. Whoosh. Then, several figures appeared from the crack in the void. Hiss. When these figures appeared, even Mu Feng and the rest, including Ningyu, sucked in a breath of cold air. 9 martial artists. 8 of the martial artists had shockingly similar cultivation levels. Late manifestation realm. Without exception, the cultivation levels of these 8 martial artists had reached the late manifestation realm. What shocked everyone the most was not the cultivation levels of these 8 martial artists. After enjoying the good fortune given by Ningyu, everyone's cultivation levels had a qualitative increase. Although they could not defeat a late manifestation realm martial artist, they would not be killed in a short period of time. The reason why everyone was shocked and afraid was because of the last martial artist. The last martial artist's cultivation level was extremely terrifying. Supreme Being Realm? Maybe not, but it was certain that the last martial artist's strength was much stronger than a peak manifestation realm martial artist. Half-step Honorable Realm. At this moment, Ningyu's expression was grave as he said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, you're a half-step supremacy, Dan Gui." Pa. The leader, Dan Kai, clapped his hands and said with a faint smile, "Haha, my aura concealment technique is so good, but I was still discovered by you." That's right, I am the half-step sovereign Dan Kai. I didn't expect to come across such a large amount of delicious food in the second pill cave I raided. This trip was worth it. The pill puppet in the lead slowly swept his gaze over Mu Feng and the others as he continued. If the other pill caverns are all like this one, then it will only be a matter of time before I advance to the Supreme Being realm. Hearing this, Ningyu rolled his eyes, thinking of a countermeasure. This time, he really F***ked the golden terror stone dog. Originally, when Mu Feng and the others successfully advanced, it was a wonderful thing. Who would have thought that they would encounter the void jet spray, which had an extremely low probability of success? If you want to spit it out, so be it. However, you just had to spit out 8 late-stage manifestation realm cultivators and a half-step Supreme Being pill puppet. This lineup was enough to sweep through any country like the Great Shia country. Later, each of you will deal with one of the 8 late-stage manifestation realm pill puppets. As for the half-step Supreme Being pill puppet, leave it to me. Ningyu's expression was grave as he transmitted his voice to Mu Feng and the others. Brat, how are you going to deal with me? With your late-stage yin-yang realm cultivation? Ningyu neglected one point. Under the powerful perception of the half-step Supreme Being pill puppet, his soul transmission had nowhere to hide. The half-step Supreme Being pill puppet's lips curled up, and he said sinisterly, "Although you can't deal with me, your courage is commendable. You have the demeanor I had when I was young. How about this, if you can take one move from me, I can let you become my lackey. In the future, you will help me expand my territory and become my pioneer." Ningyu's expression was gloomy. If it was in his previous life, if any half-step Supreme Being pill puppet dared to speak to him like this, he would have sent that person to hell long ago. How could he be as indifferent as he was now? Under the eaves, one had to lower one's head. Ningyu, It's not impossible to kill a half-step supreme being. Just as Ningyu was thinking of a countermeasure, the Red Devil's voice rang out in his mind. What do you mean? The Red Devil was the spiritual body of the Red Devil Sword, and Ningyu controlled the Red Devil Sword. Therefore, the half-step supreme being Pill Puppet didn't notice anything amiss in the conversation between Ningyu and the Red Devil. Hand over all the royal grade origin crystals in your storage ring to me. I have a way to severely injure or even kill this half-step supreme being, the Red Devil said solemnly. Will it hurt you? Ningyu frowned when he heard the determination in the Red Devil's voice. If he had to sacrifice the Red Devil to kill the half-step supreme being Pill Puppet, Ningyu definitely wouldn't be willing. At most, he would burn his soul power and execute a secret technique to escape. Although the chances of escaping weren't high, it was better than sacrificing the Red Devil. It's fine. The Red Devil Sword is a monarch rank flying sword. As long as a large amount of origin crystals is used to stimulate its deepest energy, there's a chance of killing a supreme being, the Red Devil said with a smile. Alright, I'll leave the royal grade origin crystals in your storage ring to you. Also, if you don't have enough origin crystals, tell me. I'll think of a way to get them for you. After a moment of silence, Ningyu said, Don't worry, there definitely won't be a problem. After saying that, the Red Devil didn't say anything else and fell silent. Actually, there was something that the Red Devil didn't say. My life was saved by you. It's not impossible for me to sacrifice myself for you. In the Red Devil's heart, he probably wouldn't be able to say this to Ningyu for the rest of his life. Ningyu didn't know what the Red Devil wanted to say. He took a deep breath and said to the half-step supreme being Pill Puppet, I can try. No. The Dark Emperor and Hairy Ball were the first to object. Absolutely not. Mu Feng and the others also objected. What a joke. A late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist taking on a half-step supreme being Pill Puppet head-on was no different from courting death. Haha, looks like you guys have a good relationship. The half-step supreme being Pill Puppet smiled faintly. Since that's the case, I'll give you guys a chance. Then, the half-step supreme being Pill Puppet gave a look to the 8 late-stage manifestation Pill Puppets behind him. My 8 subordinates are also lacking lackeys. If you guys can block one of their moves, you can also live and become our vanguard, the half-step supreme being Pill Puppet said. Swoosh. The half-step supreme being Pill Puppet's words completely dumbfounded Mu Feng and the others. Fuck, he completely didn't see them as humans. However, comparatively speaking, the pressure on Mu Feng and the others was a little less. After all, the late-stage manifestation Pill Puppet's strength wasn't too strong. They should be able to block one move. However, what happened next directly made them dumbfounded. Boom boom boom. The 8 late-stage manifestation Pill Puppets released their auras and soared into the sky. Gulp. Chapter 766. Running Dog. They are indeed at the late stage of the manifestation realm. However, their auras are quite strong. They don't seem to be any different from a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm, Mu Feng, who was beside Ouyang Lun, said in a deep voice. But this is too, not good. Hearing Mu Feng's explanation, Ouyang Lun was dumbfounded. However, the most shocking thing was yet to come. Whoosh. One of the elixir puppets in the later stage of the creation realm instantly rushed out and appeared in front of him at a terrifying speed. The elixir puppet in the late stage of the creation realm did not hold back at all. He threw out a punch, bringing with it a gust of primordial qi that blasted towards Ouyang Lun's head. Yuan Qi Pill Puppet. The Dan puppet that attacked Ouyang Lun was formed from white specks of light, and its main attacking method was Yuan Qi attacks. Block. No matter what, Ouyang Lun was also an ancestor of the imperial family, so he naturally wouldn't resign himself to death. In order to withstand the attack of this pill puppet, Ouyang Lun could be said to have used all of his strength. Essence surged out from his fist. Kacha. In the next instant, a clear voice rang out in the area. Ah! What followed was a blood-curdling scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered. There was no doubt that the scream came from Ouyang Lun. At this moment, Ouyang Lun's aura was extremely weak. If one were to use one word to describe him, it would be that he didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken. Not only that, Ouyang Lun's right hand was still hanging, and it was obviously broken. Although his appearance was very miserable, but Ouyang Lun had actually blocked the attack of the Yuan Qi pill puppet, and his life was saved. Not bad, not bad. Congratulations on becoming the first lackey. No matter what, Ouyang Lun could be considered to have blocked a move from a late-stage creation realm Dan Kai. Therefore, Dan Kai, who was half a step into the Supreme Being realm, said, "Number 1, from now on, this person will be your lackey. Leave all the dirty and tiring work to him." Yes. The first Yuan Qi pill puppet nodded. "Number 1 has already given you a demonstration. Each of you go and choose a lackey. As for whether or not these lackeys will be killed by you, that will depend on your luck." The half-step Supreme Being Dan Kai waved his hand, indicating for the other Dan Kai to move. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hearing the half-step Supreme Being's command, the remaining 7 pill puppets flew out in unison. Their target was Mu Feng and the others. Bang! The second martial artist struck by the pill puppet was Ancestor Ju Mo. Although Patriarch Ju Mo's cultivation had reached the early stage of the creation realm, he was the weakest among them. As a result, old Ancestor Ju Mo's injuries were severe, to the point that he was barely hanging on to his last breath and could die at any moment. Bang! 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 Following that, the Black Widow, the Black and White heroes, and Mu Feng were struck one after another. Without exception, all of them had suffered heavy injuries. Right at this moment, the other side of the battlefield attracted everyone's attention. Even Dan Kai, who was half a step into the honorable realm, shifted his gaze over. The Dark Emperor, Furball, the Silverwing Dragon, the Twin Horns Beast. They joined forces and fought the 4 late-stage creation realm pill puppet. 4 against 4. For a time, they were evenly matched, and no one could do anything to the other. "Wow, you're quite strong." Looking at the scene before him, the half-step Honorable Dan Kai raised his brows and revealed a smile. "I would like to see if you can defeat the Dan Kai that I brought." "Brat, take a guess. Will your gang of scoundrels win, or will my subordinate win?" After watching for a while, the half-step Honorable Dan Kai felt that it was no longer interesting, so he turned to talk to Ningyu. "If you can guess correctly, I can give you some benefits." "What benefits?" Ningyu asked calmly. "Don't worry, I guarantee that you'll be satisfied with the benefits I give you." The half-step Honorable Dan Kai patted his chest and made a "you can rest assured" expression. "As long as you can guess correctly, I'll let you take 2 moves from me." Ningyu's face was filled with black lines. When he heard the first half of the half-step Honorable Dan Kai's words, Ningyu thought that the sun had risen from the west. However, when he heard the latter half of the half-step Honorable Dan Kai's words, Ningyu finally understood. It wasn't that the sun had risen from the west, but that Dan Kai was messing with him. "Damn it, I might not even be able to take 1 move from you, but you want me to take 2? What, you're not willing to guess? Then I can only apologize to you." Seeing Ningyu's appearance, the half-step Honorable Dan Kai said solemnly, "Without a doubt, my friends will win." Ningyu was very confident in the Dark Emperor and the others, so he definitely had to guess that they would win. "All right, let's wait and see." After the half-step Honorable Dan Kai said this, he didn't say anything else. Instead, he stared at the battlefield. Boom. At the start, the Dark Emperor and the others were evenly matched with Dan Kai, and no one could do anything to the other. But as time passed, the Dark Emperor and the others gradually showed signs of decline, and this decline was becoming more and more obvious. According to this trend, it wouldn't be long before the Dark Emperor and the others were defeated. With the powerful strength displayed by the 4 Dan Kai, the moment the Dark Emperor and the others were defeated, they would most likely be killed. "I wonder if I can join the battlefield." Ningyu's eyes turned, and he hurriedly thought of a countermeasure. Suddenly, Ningyu's heart stirred, and he said to the half-step Honorable Dan Kai, "You want to join the battlefield?" The half-step Honorable Dan Kai's brows raised up, and he asked doubtfully, "What, could it be that you're afraid?" Ningyu said coolly, "As a half-step Honorable Dan Kai, you shouldn't be afraid of me, a late-stage yin-yang realm human, right?" "Afraid? Who? Of course I'm afraid. I'm afraid that you'll be killed, and I'll have 1 less lackey, the half-step Honorable Dan Kai said coldly. Just be afraid, don't talk big. Ning Yu was provoking the half-step Honorable Dan Kai after all. The Dark Emperor and the others were almost unable to hold on anymore. Without the injection of new power, defeat was inevitable. Good. I want to see what abilities you have. The half-step Honorable Dan Kai said solemnly. Swoosh. Since the half-step Honorable Dan Kai agreed to Ning Yu's request, then Ning Yu naturally wouldn't stay in the same place. Instead, he tore open the void and instantly rushed out. Humph. Just a mere late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. I want to see what kind of waves you can stir up. The half-step Honorable Dan Kai snorted coldly, then immediately crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking at the battlefield rather interestedly. What? However, the scene that happened before their eyes completely toppled the half-step Honorable Dan Kai's understanding of late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists. At the start, when Ning Yu joined the battlefield, he did not have a decisive effect. They were still at an absolute disadvantage. But as Ning Yu took out a flower bud from his bosom, everything completely changed. Buzz. A tremendous devouring power burst out from within the flower bud. This devouring power was divided into 4 parts, entering 4 late-stage creation realm pill puppets' bodies respectively. After that incident with evil King Purple Spirit, the flower bud's restraining power towards Dan Kai seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. Chapter 767. Withered Demon. Not only was the half-step supreme being Dan Kai shocked, even the silver-winged dragon and the rest were shocked speechless. Just what kind of treasure was the flower bud? For manifestation realm late-stage Dan Kai were actually forced out of their bodies by it. Moreover, the 4 Dan Kai seemed to have lost their consciousness and had turned into pure yuan energy light dots. Dark Emperor, silver-winged dragon, what are you guys standing around for? Hurry up and devour these light dot. Seeing the silver-winged dragon and the rest in a daze, Ning Yu shouted, the yuan energy contained in the 4 manifestation realm late-stage Dan Kai is very likely to allow you guys to advance further. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor knew that Ning Yu would not harm him, so when he heard Ning Yu's words, he was the first to rush out. The Dark Emperor opened his mouth and swallowed a speck of yuan qi into his stomach in front of everyone. Bang! As soon as the yuan energy light dot entered his stomach, the Dark Emperor felt as if there was a ball of fire burning in his body, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. Rumble. Fortunately, the discomfort was short-lived. Soon, the Dark Emperor refined the yuan energy light dot. After refining this huge yuan energy light dot, although the Dark Emperor did not advance to the manifestation realm, he had reached the half-step manifestation realm. The Dark Emperor was a heaven-devouring dog. After advancing to the half-step manifestation realm, he could even contend against manifestation realm mid-stage martial artist. Seeing that the Dark Emperor had successfully raised his cultivation to the half-step manifestation realm, the silver-winged dragon and the rest did not linger any longer and quickly refined the yuan energy light dot. There's something strange about that flower bud. The half-step supreme being Dan Kai did not disturb the silver-winged dragon and the rest. At this moment, his attention was focused on the flower bud in midair. For some reason, the half-step supreme being Dan Kai felt that there was something strange about the flower bud. This feeling was very strange. He could not smell it, nor could he grasp it. It made him go crazy. King Withered Demon, should we stop them? Just as the half-step supreme being Dan Kai was pondering, a manifestation realm late-stage Dan Kai said hesitantly, they are very strong. If they all advance, I'm afraid. Do I need you to tell me what to do? Kumo had already grasped the flower bud's direction, but it was disrupted by the late-stage manifestation pill puppet, so he was naturally very angry. He coldly snorted and said, all of you stay here obediently. Without my permission, no one is allowed to make a move. Yes. Not only was the late-stage creation stage elixir puppet terrified, but even the other 3 elixir puppets shuddered. Not making a move? Was he going to wait for the flower bud to devour him? You're a half-step supreme being, so you're not afraid of the flower bud, but we're all at the late-stage manifestation realm. The 4 pill puppets that had been devoured just now were a warning. Sure. Thus, the remaining 4 late-stage creation realm pill puppets took a few steps back and hid behind Kumo. Withered Devil saw the 4 Danzhong's actions, but he didn't question them. Instead, he tried his best to recall what a flower bud was. Bang! 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 5 minutes later, 3 consecutive muffled sounds rang out. At this moment, Hairy Ball, the silver-winged dragon, and the Twin Horns beast had made great progress. Among them, Hairy Ball had broken through the peak of the yin-yang realm and advanced to the half-step manifestation realm. Although the silver-winged dragon and the Twin Horns beast had not advanced to the mid-stage manifestation realm, they had reached the peak of the early-stage manifestation realm and were only a step away from the mid-stage manifestation realm. Smack! Suddenly, Kumo slapped his thigh, and his face was burning with excitement. I know. Ha ha ha, I know. I know what a flower bud is. Ha ha ha. Kumo let out a maniacal laugh. Swoosh. After laughing, Kumo's eyes turned cold, and he instantly rushed out. Oh no. Come back quickly. Seeing Kumo's actions, Ningyu shouted and hurriedly contacted the flower bud. Without a doubt, Kumo's target was the flower bud. Moreover, Kumo had clearly guessed that the flower bud had emerged from the branches of the world tree. Ningyu, take the flower bud and leave the pill cave first. Leave this old dog to us. Swoosh, swoosh. The silver-winged dragon and the Twin Horns beast moved quickly and stood in front of Ningyu. Me too. Us too. Woof, woof. Subsequently, the Dark Emperor, Furball, Ouyang Lun, Mu Feng, and the rest all stood in front of Ningyu. Their intention was clear. They wanted to stop Kumo and let Ningyu leave the pill cave. Normally, pill puppets could only survive in the pill cave. Unless they advanced to the honorable realm, they would not be able to leave the pill cave for the rest of their lives. The silver-winged dragon and the rest's thoughts were simple. As long as Ningyu could leave the pill cave, he would naturally be able to live. After all, Kumo's cultivation was only at the half-step honorable realm. There was still a long way to go before he could truly become an honorable realm human. Do you think you can stop me with just a few pieces of trash? Suddenly, Kumo came to a stop. After stopping, Kumo said darkly, initially, I only wanted you to become my lackeys. Since you're courting death, very well, I'll fulfill your wish. As soon as he said the word all, Kumo's figure gradually merged into the void and disappeared. Crack! In the next moment, Kumo appeared behind old ancestor Jumo and Ouyang Lun. Kumo punched out with both fists, hitting old ancestor Jumo and Ouyang Lun's backs. Fart! After being hit by Kumo's fists, not only did several of Ouyang Lun's backbones break, but even his aura fell to its lowest point in history. He was on the verge of death. As for old ancestor Jumo, his cultivation was only at the early stage manifestation realm, so the injuries he suffered were much more severe. It could be said that old ancestor Jumo was currently sitting on the ground, his eyes dull and lifeless. He was only hanging on to his last breath and could die at any moment. Next, Mu Feng, the Black and White heroes, and the Black Widow also suffered from Kumo's powerful attacks. The 4 of them were at the mid-stage manifestation realm, and the injuries they suffered were similar to Ouyang Lun's. They had completely lost their ability to fight. Woof! Although the Dark Emperor and Furball were purple-gold sky-devouring hounds, their cultivation was relatively low. They were only at the half-step manifestation realm. Obviously, they didn't end up well either. At this moment, they were lying on the ground like dead dogs. Raw. Strictly speaking, the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast were the strongest here. But even so, they couldn't even block a single attack from Kumo. It was just that their skin was rough and their flesh was thick, so the injuries they suffered were slightly lighter. But that was all. They still didn't have the strength to truss a chicken. In mid-air, Ningyu stared at the silver-winged dragon and the others lying on the ground like a fool. His mouth was slightly open, and his eyes were dull. Sigh, actually, you're very talented, and your strength isn't weak either. If I let you become my lackey, and with a little training, you'll definitely become a qualified lackey. It's a pity that you won't be able to see that day. Chapter 768. Half an hour later, Kumo's words were very obvious. He wanted to eliminate Ningyu and let Ningyu die without a burial. Even so, Ningyu remained indifferent. His gaze was slack and he had no intention of resisting. It's over, it's over. Ouyang Lun slapped the ground when he saw Ningyu's appearance. Ningyu has turned into a fool. We're all finished today. Woof. Woof. Although Furball and the Dark Emperor were heavily injured, they still barked at Kumo. Old Dean, is there any way to save Ningyu? Old Ancestor Ju Mo asked anxiously as he moved half a step towards Mu Feng. Mu Feng shook his head and said, there's no way. Unless a miracle happens, there's no other way. On the other side, the Black Widow and the Black and White heroes all had determined looks on their faces. They were doomed today. They didn't expect to die in the hands of a half-step supreme being, Dan Kai, instead of Hu Jian, who was at the manifestation realm. If they had known this would happen, they would have fought Hu Jian outside Danwu College instead of entering the Pill Cavern. In this world, there were not so many things that could be foreseen. There were only hopes and disappointments. Brat, be obedient and let me devour you. Kumo twisted his neck and opened his mouth. A terrifying devouring power came from his mouth and enveloped Ningyu. Sizzle. The first thing that couldn't withstand the devouring power was Ningyu's clothes. Starting from the bottom of his pants, they were gradually refined. Then, it was his shirt and even his hair. In the end, even Ningyu's skin couldn't escape the fate of being devoured. A late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist won't be of much help to me, but it's better than nothing. Kumo curled his lips and said indifferently. To Kumo, devouring Ningyu wasn't important. After all, Ningyu's cultivation was only at the late stage of the yin-yang realm, and it couldn't increase his strength by even a little. If it wasn't for the fear that Ningyu would be used by others, Kumo would have definitely given Ningyu to the remaining Dan Hu to devour. Don't just stand there like idiots. Go and devour those trash, then we'll go to the next pill cave. Kumo waved his hand, gesturing for the late-stage manifestation pill puppet to devour Mu Feng and the others. Is that so? Are you in a hurry to go to the next elixir cave? Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded in Kumo's ears. Whoosh. Kumo's heart trembled when he heard this, and he hurriedly searched for the source of the voice. Stop looking. I was the one who said that. The hoarse voice rang out again. This time, Kumo saw it clearly. The voice came from Ningyu's mouth. You can actually block my devouring power? Kumo looked at Ningyu and said with interest, now, I don't want to kill you. Whether you want to kill me or not, that's your business. Ningyu's face was expressionless as he said indifferently, however, you probably won't be able to go to the next pill cave. What? You want to stop me from going to the next pill cave? Kumo asked coldly. I'm not stopping you from going to the next pill cave. I want to kill you. Ningyu's expression was still the same, calm and indifferent, as if it had nothing to do with him. Ha ha ha. I'll stand here and let you kill me. I want to see how capable you are to kill me. Kumo laughed wildly and said fiercely, if you can hurt me, not only will I, as you wish. Ningyu interrupted Kumo's words and instantly rushed out. Kai Kai. Ningyu's speed was very fast, so fast that the friction between him and the air produced a Kai Kai sound. Kumo kept his word. He said he wouldn't move, so he wouldn't move. No wonder Kumo was so confident. After all, Ningyu's cultivation was only at the late stage yin-yang stage, while he was at the half-step utmost exalted stage. The two of them weren't on the same level. Even if he stood there, Ningyu wouldn't be able to hurt him. Swoosh. While Kumo was pondering, Ningyu had already arrived in front of him. Moreover, a flying sword had appeared in Ningyu's hand. The flying sword's entire body was red, and there was even fresh blood oozing out of the sword's blade. What? A monarch flying sword? Kumo's expression changed drastically when he saw the red demon sword, and he hastily retreated. Kumo was indeed a half-step utmost exalted stage pill puppet. However, no matter how strong he was, he couldn't go against a monarch flying sword. Kumo didn't have the guts to go against a monarch flying sword head-on. Kill. However, before Kumo could get far, Ningyu slashed down with the red demon sword. Puff. The crisp sound of a flying sword piercing into flesh rang out. When the crisp sound rang out, the surroundings instantly became so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard. Drip, drip. Apart from the sound of breathing, there was only the sound of blood dripping on the ground. The dripping sound was rhythmic, and every drip was like the sound of death, causing the 4 late-stage manifestation stage pill puppets to feel even more despair. Whoosh. I forgot to tell you. Ningyu said indifferently. All the martial artists who had the same request as you have gone to meet the King of Hell. Want to kill me? How can it be so easy? Kumo clenched his fists and said coldly. I know that you're at the half-step utmost exalted stage, and I know that it won't be easy to kill you. Ningyu withdrew the red demon sword from Kumo's body and said, You should know the situation in your body better than me. Kumo knew the situation in his body very well. However, what Kumo was afraid of was not the devouring power in his body, but the royal grade flying sword. In Kumo's opinion, as long as the royal grade flying sword was withdrawn by Ningyu, he could easily kill Ningyu. Seeing that Ningyu had withdrawn the red demon sword, Kumo felt that his opportunity had come. He immediately activated the primordial chi in his body and wanted to kill Ningyu. Puff. Obviously, Kumo did not realize how terrifying the devouring power in his body was. As soon as he circulated his primordial chi, he felt a fishy taste in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Kumo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said fiercely, What the hell did you do to me, Red Demon? What do you need me to do? Ningyu could not be bothered with Kumo and sent a voice transmission to the Red Demon in Kumo's body. Go and stop the other 4 late-stage manifestation stage pill puppets. Buy me at least half an hour. The Red Demon took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, I guarantee that I can refine Kumo in half an hour. Half an hour, huh? Ningyu's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard the Red Demon's words, and he felt that it was slightly troublesome. Mu Feng and the others were all heavily injured, and their strength was next to nothing. They might not even be able to last half an hour, so they naturally could not stop the pill puppets. As for himself, his cultivation was only at the late-stage yin-yang stage, and he might be able to stop a late-stage manifestation stage pill puppet if he went all out. However, what could the other 3 pill puppets do? Don't worry, Red Demon. Half an hour is not a problem. Ningyu knew that he could not be a coward at this moment, and he had to buy time for the Red Demon even if he was heavily injured or killed. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.